30 minutes?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Everybody understand? Nothing. 6:30? Y'all ready? Secretary Perkins? You ready? Not a problem. Not a problem. Turn me up in the headphones, Steve. Dylan, you ready? Everybody ready? Okay. Let's see. Mr. Jones ain't here yet.
Well, we're down here. I don't know where he at.
Okay.
I saw his car.
No, he's here.
Yeah,
He's here.
Yeah.
He's here. No, we good.
Oh, okay.
Let's roll. Oh, okay. Okay. I would like to call the Flint Board of Education regular board meeting to order at 6:31 p.m. We're a minute late. Board members, as I call your name, please reply present for the record. Treasurer Luna.
Present.
Trustee King is not here yet. Trustee Rutherford.
Present.
Vice President McNeil.
Present.
Assistant Secretary Treasurer McIntyre. She is not here yet. Others. Secretary Perkins.
Present.
Trustee King.
Praise the Lord.
And myself, President Clark, am present.
Thank you.
I now call upon Secretary Perkins to read the district's mission statement and first statements of standard practice.
District mission statement. It is the mission of the Flint School District to develop a community of learners who are prepared to live, work, and contribute in an ever-changing society. The Flint Board of Education standards of practice in order to provide outstanding leadership and better serve the Flint community schools. We, the members of the Flint Board of Education, commit to the following standards of practice. 1, we will be consistent in our dealings with each other, as well as students, staff, and community.
We will model trustworthiness and honesty in our relationship with each other, with our superintendent, and with our constituents.
We will focus on a common goal of providing the best education possible for the students in the Flint Community Schools.
We'll respect the diverse views that each of us bring to the organization, as well as the view of others that we interact with as we carry out the business of the Board of Education.
We will be open and authentic with each other, our staff, and community.
As we work to make decisions, we will focus on issues, not personalities.
Our decisions will be student-centered and based on objective facts.
We will practice good listening skills to better understand our fellow Board of Education members and constituents.
Okay, thank you, Board. The Board will now hear comments from the public. We ask that you state the reason for addressing the Board and that you limit your remarks to 3 minutes on matters within the authority of the Board and not address individuals by name. The presiding officer of the Board shall have the right to limit the number of persons who may address the Board on the same subject. Please state your name and address before beginning to speak, Is there anyone here from the public that would like to address the Board? Please, Ms. Christian.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Karen Christian, 3611 Brentwood Drive, Flint, Michigan, 48503. First of all, happy holidays for when the meeting is over and everything else. If we don't see you before then, enjoy your holidays, enjoy your family. I come to you tonight to speak about 2111 and 2112. We've had a lot of situations that have happened at several of the schools this year so far, and with the fact that we've had fights that have been videotaped and put to the media that everyone has seen, and the fact that we have fights that happen, I've seen several videos where kids have their hoodies on and throw a hoodie over their head and start fighting so nobody can figure out who they are. We need to do something to make sure that our students are safe, to make sure that our staff is safe, and to make sure that our buildings are run orderly. We need to make sure that we take care of this because we need to make sure that our students are not looked at by this nation as a bunch of students who don't know how to behave themselves because 2 or 3 people can't do the right thing. We need to make sure that our students are held to a great higher ability because that's what they are. They have so much potential. And when the United States looks at us and thinks, oh, great, here we go in Flint, Michigan again, we don't need that here. We need our kids to be looked at positively because they have so much pride, they have so much to give to this community and to this state and to other states if they choose to go there after college is over. So we need to do what we can to make sure that they are safe, we are safe, and that people don't look down on us. So I would really hope that you will pass 2111 and 2112. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Christian. Is there anyone else who'd like to?
Good evening. My name is Jeanette Edwards, 1705 Russet Place, around the corner from Holmes Junior High in Brownell. And one question I want to ask is, they're around there working, which we know they have to work, and we appreciate it, but the grounds is all the hard work we've been doing, fixing it up around it. It's horrible. I just want to know if it's going to be repaired when they get finished. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Edwards. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board? Anyone else? Okay, thank you. I seek a motion and a second to approve the minutes from November 2nd, 2023 Neola workshop, November 8th, 2023 special board meeting, the November 8th, 2023 board committee of the whole meeting, and the November 15th, 2023 special board meeting, and the November 15th, 2023 regular board meeting.
So moved.
Support.
Okay, it has been properly moved and seconded. Are there any corrections? All right, seeing none, the motion to approve the minutes from the November 2nd, 2023 Neola workshop, November 8th, 2023 special board meeting, November 8th, 2023 board committee of the whole meeting, November 15th, 2023 special board meeting, and the November 15th, 2023 regular board meeting will be conducted by a roll call vote. As I say your name, say yes or no to approve the motion. Secretary Perkins.
Yes.
Trustee McIntyre is not here. Vice President McNeil.
Yes.
Trustee Rutherford.
Yes.
Trustee King.
Yes.
Treasurer Luna.
Yes.
Myself, President Clack. Yes, the motion passes 6-0. Okay, continuing with the agenda, I now turn the floor over to Superintendent Jones for action items and information reports.
Good evening, Board. Good evening to our public. I am going to ask if in the audience, I do have a couple of staff members that work close with us, Mr. Stewart, Director of Student Services, and also the one of our administrators at Southwestern, Ms. Shantram. If you all will come, and also I'm going to ask Ms. Fields if you will come over with them. If there's not enough chairs, Mr. Henderson, would you grab an extra chair?
Steve.
Thank you, Mr. Henderson. Three, it's Ms. Fields and those two, and I'll take it from there. Yeah. I seek a motion and a second from the board to approve Resolution 21.11, Amendment to Policy 5136, Personal Communication Devices, No Cell Phones for Students.
I make a motion we approve the item.
Support. Support.
Any discussion? I wasn't ready for that yet. No discussion? Okay, Trustee Rutherford.
Sure. Good evening, you guys. How are you doing? Are we doing no cell phones and no hoodies?
That's correct.
Yeah, but it'll be, that's coming next.
Which one? Where we at?
The only one we're on
Two.
right now is the no
This
cell.
is why, because Okay, so we're talking about no cell phones, so we all everybody in agreement, no cell phones?
Yes.
Will the buildings understand no cell phones, and they don't have an option to give a student a cell phone who child is at home sick and their mom is caring for them and they need their phone?
Yes, we've had that discussion in our meeting prior to making the decision to ban the cell phones, and there will be no cell phones. The only alternative to that, or the only exception, would be those students who use their cell phones for like their,
Medical.
for medicine, for their glucose. That would be the only reason for us to allow a cell phone.
Okay, with that being said, do all the PA systems work and do all the phones work in the rooms?
If you use the word all, I'm gonna say no. I'm not gonna say all the PA system in all of the rooms does not work, and all of the phones, all of the rooms don't have actual phones in each room.
So let me be a grandparent right now.
Okay.
How can I communicate with the world that we live in? How will I be able to communicate with my grandson?
You will call the main office, and the main office will call or send someone to that room to pick up your grandchild and bring them to the main office to speak with you.
So my grandson goes to Holmes. I have yet to get a live person. It always goes to voicemail, always. So have we addressed that?
That is, I'm going to say that is something that we're looking into right now, because we're having some phone issues, not necessarily getting the mail, but we're having some phone issues in our district. And so that has been brought to the attention of our IT department, and they are investigating that right now.
So a lot of these things, can they be addressed prior to school starting back up? Because it would just seem like we're solving a problem, but we're creating some more problems, because it doesn't seem like we're prepared to have a backup in case something happens for families to be able to communicate with the school. So hearing we having phone problems, that's concerning.
So the last communication I received from IT, they're going to go through in every building to ensure that each phone is functioning properly.
Okay, so we're not going to flick the green light on no cell phones until all that's taken care of.
Well, I was hoping that we would vote no cell phone tonight so we can communicate that information to our students and our parents over the break. So when they come in January 3rd, they have a fresh start. They're aware of the new policy, and we can adhere to that policy.
Without phones working in the building?
I'm not saying all of our phones are not working in the building. I just know that some of them are not.
You see where I'm at though, right? You
I see where
understand my
yes.
concern?
I do see what your concerns are. However, if you're at home and you call in the building, you will be able to get in contact with someone. You will be able to get in contact with someone. I call Holmes all the time and I get someone, but like sometimes Ms. Fields will call my department and she gets a recording. And so I don't know, we're trying to figure out where that is taking place throughout the district.
Okay, that's a system problem. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right, thank you.
Treasurer Luna?
Hey, 2 quick questions. How many of your, do teachers still communicate with parents via apps like Class Dojo and other communicative apps?
There are several ways that they would communicate. Email is one of them. There are schools that use Remind 101. There are schools that have some Dojo, but most of it is Remind 101. Synergy, email, text messaging, robocalls, school messenger
Okay.
facilitates that right now.
All right. And then my second question is, I know last month we had looked at the potential to use some of the pouches. Is that still being considered in the future down the line?
At this point in time, it is not on the table,
Okay.
sir, no.
Thank you.
Okay, Vice President McNeil.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I will be supporting this, but I do have a few questions. And I can just probably, anybody can answer, including Mr. Jones. How would that new, I think it's Apogee software, would it be able to accommodate if we can't have, get to the cell phone or get to people, could we also as parents have access to that Apogee?
The After-G app is going to be accessible to all guardians and parents.
Okay, so I know that we do have a PA system problem, and I'm quite sure that you guys are aware of this. I'm quite sure that as we move into this here, we can eliminate some of these hiccups as we go. It's not gonna happen overnight, but I think this is the right direction and the way that we are going, and we can probably address that PA system or find a process how we can get around it. But I'm quite sure you guys would not have brought this to the board if you didn't have a plan B as well. So I'm just letting my board colleagues know that I will be supporting it. Thank you.
Superintendent.
So the board has already approved upgrades to the PA systems. That is in the queue of the renovations that is happening in the district. So it's in process.
Trustee McIntyre.
So, yeah, apologies for being late, so I'm sorry if this is a question that's already been asked, but the policy change, I thought it was going to ban cell phones during the school day, and it says on school buses.
Yes.
So was this discussed earlier?
No,
I
not
thought it
today.
was when they walked in that their phones would be put away. So how can that happen?
That's when you guys, I'm going to assume that that's when you guys were exploring purchasing the pouches. But since then, we went away from that being an option, and the team decided to ban the cell phones.
Just ban cell phones?
Correct. And I need.
That is, I mean, I'm sorry, but like, was that discussed at all? We discussed something completely different. Like just banning cell phones, like entirely? No.
Are you asking, was it
Well, I'm just
discussed with
wondering.
who? I'm trying to understand who you asking, who are you asking? We discussed it. As I sent the email the other day to you all, we discussed it with student council, we discussed it with the staff, we discussed it with Southwestern's entire staff, we discussed it with the cabinet.
Okay.
So we have had conversations about this, and this is the conclusion. We also have had unions, and the unions are here present. We discussed this with all the unions, as well as one of the unions spoke earlier today about this in the 3-minute meeting time or public time. So we
Okay.
have had
So
discussions.
I guess I just wasn't aware that it was just carte blanche, absolutely nothing ever. On school buses, I mean, I understand putting your phones away during the school day, but I don't know, I mean, I'm sorry if I'm not, if I wasn't paying attention to something I wasn't, but I'm absolutely confused, actually. So, and I apologize for not being aware of this, but I'm not, try to tell me why that's a good idea? I mean,
To ban cell phones?
well,
Well,
on buses, I mean, if you've,
Okay.
and all electronic devices, right? So, I don't know about anybody else, but I cannot stand to listen to people, to be around people, and I need headphones. And so you all have seen me when we've traveled. What are you gonna do with people who have
So with
different neuro, who can't bear that kind of thing?
So in those cases, then we would have to first be notified that that is the case, because there would be some form of documentation that that's the case. But you asked me if banning the cell phone was a good idea, and I would say yes, because of the issues that cell phones is causing in our district and the distractions.
I remember having that conversation with you and your team, but it wasn't like this. This just sounds. All right, so I'm just asking questions right now, and I just have to say I'm a little dismayed, because I didn't think it was so draconian. And I don't like treating our students this way. I like empowering them and giving them respect. I mean, I was hesitant about banning the phones, and I listened to you, and you said, this is what we want, this is what we need, and we looked at the pouches. I mean, I understood all of that, but this is just, I don't know, I'm gonna have to think about this, because honestly, I didn't understand that it meant, like, you have to leave the house without an electronic device, as Trustee Relaford said, in this day and age.
So, if I may,
Yeah.
we're actually doing a 360, right? Because Flint schools banned cell phone for a long period of time. Then we opted into allowing kids to have their cell phones because we were moving toward a technical age, and we wanted to give kids the opportunity to be responsible to use their phones. And then it went from them not using the phone in the building. So this is the result of us giving our student the opportunity to show that they're responsible, and this is the result of them not being responsible and not doing responsible things with cell phones as they have them in the buildings. And so now we're back at banning the cell phones to keep them out of our buildings because they're causing so many problems.
So all students get penalized for the actions of a few.
When
So
you
the
say a
students
few,
that- Well,
when you say a few,
not all students have abused this, and you've got individuals who, I don't know, as a teenager is going to school, the buses are irregular, you know, what if you miss the bus? You know, there's just certain things that come up, there's safety issues. Like I said, I'm gonna pause right there, but this is school to prison pipeline stuff to me. And I think that, in my opinion, I think that we should be penalizing students who have abused this, and not all of them who need some kind of an electronic device for whatever reason it is. This just sounds, I mean, and so at this point, if you do this, plus you're banning hoodies, that's a horrible look. It's a horrible look, and I'm gonna have to, back from my stance of support for that.
okay. But again, I just want to reiterate that both of these requests are for the safety of our children. And I'm going to put safety overlook any day.
So do you have any data to support taking away a hoodie, a garment from a student, actually makes a school safer?
I have data stating that students with hoodies can conceal their identity to where when
That's
they
not
do
what I
something, you
asked.
can't say.
Do you have any evidence to show me that banning a certain item of clothing is going to make your school safer? Because I don't think that it's out there.
Well,
Trustee King?
Yeah, so, am I good? Okay. So first I was for the cell phone pouches. I understood that. So could you walk me through an average student day when they leave the house? Do they have to leave their phones at home?
do they have to use them at home?
Do they have to leave them at home?
If they are banned, yes.
So then down here it says, note, I'm inside the addendum to policy and the communication to parents. I think this is supposed to do. This is at the discretion of building administrators. Certain electronic devices may be allowed for special projects. When you say like, you know, the district went to allowing cell phones and, electronic devices, back when, you banned cell phones back then, but then you allowed it. We still in that age, and I would argue, we still going towards that age in technology even more so. I do understand the purpose, which says to reduce distractions and enhance the safety of the learning environment by controlling cell phone usage within the school building, the recording of any event on school property unless otherwise approved by the administration and subjected to disciplinary action. I agree with the purpose. I don't agree with no cell phones at all. Like, I would prefer the pouches, because you ever to have them, you still have them on you, just in case, let's say I'm on the bus, my ride's not here, I don't have a phone to call my mom. I don't have the phone to call my ride to come pick me up. What if I get misplaced at a different bus stop? I don't have a phone to call anyone. That's my concern. Now, like I say, I understand the purpose. But if I have to leave my phone at home, I go to school, I know I'm going to school to learn. But when I get off on the bus, when I ride the bus, who do I call? I can't call no one because my phone is at home. Could you explain and walk me through that?
So you're asking me, when you get home, when you get off the bus to go home, who you gonna call?
How will I call someone if I have someone picking me up?
So, usually when they get off the bus, their house is only a couple of blocks up the street and they're walking home.
That may not be the case in all cases, right? So don't feel like, I don't want you to feel like this is me attacking, okay? This is me trying to understand the method, because I understand the purpose, but I don't think banning cell phones completely would do the justice in some cases. Because if I'm riding the bus, I mean, which I got a couple kids, my siblings ride the bus. They don't have access to phones. Brother, I'm here. Or, hey, brother, my bus's gonna be late, 5-10 minutes late. I'm waiting at the bus stop, no one's here. How do I communicate with the person I'm picking up?
So, well, one thing is that the district has an app that parents can have to tell them where the buses are at that time. The parents, there's an app that parents can look at to tell them where their buses are, so they'll know what time that bus get to that bus stop, and if they have to go get their student, they can.
That bus route app is live,
Is it live? Yeah.
ready to work? Been tested?
That's the guy that's over it right there.
Okay. Okay,
Okay.
I'm done.
You done, King? No, you want?
I just want to make comments.
No,
I'm in
after.
support of
No,
it.
you after.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Okay, so, hold on. Did you want to say something too, Treasurer?
I already spoke.
Okay, so I got a few questions. At first, I was for this, and then I started to hear or read the language that's in it. And as a father, as well as an educator, I can see both sides of the scale. I can see why you wouldn't, as a teacher, you wouldn't want cell phones in the classroom because they become a distraction. As a parent, I see why cell phones are needed because the way society is today. You know, kids riding the buses, leaving early in the morning, sometimes it's still dark. Sometimes when they get home from school off the bus, it's dark. I can understand that as well. Now, here's the thing. Why, and I'm just gonna assume because of recent events that have been televised nationally, that's a reason why we're here today. No?
This has been ongoing for years.
Well, I understand that too, but I mean, brought back up, you know, I know we've been there and, but we've just been at the center of attention more recently over some things that have happened, you know, at our high school and some of our schools that have have shined a negative light on us. Okay. I can't, the language with the school buses. Now, is that because of the kids recording fights? Is most of this because the kids recording situations or?
So it's more than just recording, and it's more than just them talking on their phone. Okay, so you have a student, I'm on this bus, I have an issue with another student, I'm texting this student and texting my people at home, meet me at the bus stop because we're gonna get off the bus, and they're jumping kids and they're assaulting kids. It is, and I wanna say this, you know, there was a time when we didn't have cell phones.
You're right.
Right? And everybody got off the bus and everybody walked home and got home safely, you know, and so that, I just want to make that point, right? I understand people wanting cell phones because they're so, you know, you can use them and they're immediate, they're available. But there was a time when we had no cell phones and we had to contact the school to get our students, get in contact with our students. And when students got off the bus, they walked home. and there was no issue. So I just want to make sure that we are doing what's right when it comes around safety. I'm
understand
thinking
that.
totally about safety.
I understand. And with
Right.
all due respect, you know, a lot of things have changed in time since we haven't had and I don't mean any disrespect when I say that. You know, a lot of things have changed. You know, the number of human trafficking, the rate has shot up. You know, kidnapping and stuff like that. So
And the
that's what
cell
I'm saying.
phone's going to stop that?
No, but what I will say is, with my phone, the reason why I have an iPhone and both of my kids have iPhones is because I can track their location. If they have this or a watch on them, then I can immediately real time see where they are. So that's that's my holdup. Is not, you know, I understand from the professional, from the safety, even from the teachers why we should look into banning cell phones. But safety, I think it's like a double-edged sword. I think you could look at it this way from safety, or you could look at it that way from safety. So I think that my thing is that maybe we should, you know, I don't know, table this until we speak about it some more,
so
and
I
so
do
it doesn't
wanna
fail,
add-
but we can just bring it back. I'm sorry, Mr. Lewis.
Yeah, and so I do want to say this because, you know, when we look at what occurred last week, right? You know, I didn't know the seriousness of it or what took place until I went back to my office and pulled it up on video.
Right.
So we're in an age now to where when we had every officer from every law enforcement agency locally in our
To
building
contact,
that day, right? And when things started to happen, instead of our kids getting out of the way and allowing the officers to handle the business, everybody pulled out their cell phones and they're rushing the police officers. And that is not safe. That could have gotten ugly that day. Okay? I want you to understand that. Because we've gotten into an age where everybody want to pull their cell phones out and record police officers, that is not safe. And I understand you want the kids to have cell phones, but they have to use them responsibly.
And this is my one last,
Okay.
I know I've been talking, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
But
you good.
my one last thing, if we ban these cell phones, or in the scenario that you gave, if we continue to allow cell phones, what's to stop a student from going home at 5 o'clock, picking up his cell phone and saying, meet me at the park?
I mean, that kid is going home. He's not our responsibility anymore. He's his parents' responsibility. Now, that the parents have to monitor the cell phones as well, right? So that parent once they get home, that parent has to make sure that that kid is not doing those types of things, going on social media, you know, and things like that.
But you can monitor those things from a parental cell phone, from an account. Like, go ahead, Vice President. You're after Trustee Rutherford. Vice President, then Trustee Rutherford, and then you, and then I'm done.
I was in support of this until I really understand what you're saying about ban. And I was just thinking of banning them from the classroom and maybe even on the bus. But I do have concern for safety, and I'm going to give my two examples. There's a young lady who had COVID very, very bad, and she had asthma attacks. And when she has those attacks, she's on 2. If she get the first one in, she can get her air back. If the one that's the really emergency is the second one, if she have to hit that second medication she needs, it takes her out, and to the point that her mom need to be tracking her. So when she stopped moving, that lets her mom know that if she can't get to that phone, she will get to that phone and say, I'm having an attack. And we need to know where she's at. Okay, and we need to know where she's at. And to ban something like that is a concern for me. I'm gonna give you another scenario. Young girl coming from school, she's 12. Her mom took a cell phone, you know, for punishment. They just found her, she's 15 now. And they was trafficking her. 15 years, from 12 to 15 years of age, and a phone call could have prevented that. A lot of single parents use the phone to track their children. And I would like for us to revisit and think, I hear what you're saying, ban them in classroom, ban them on bus. Once they off that bus, they're in the care of their parents, their parents are responsible for them. But I understand what you said about the medication you're giving them, but we have to also be understanding that there are other kids out there that the district knows nothing about. And this particular young lady, we have to, and I'm just gonna be honest, she's my granddaughter. We have to be able to track her, because wherever she's at, when she went into COVID, stayed unconscious for about 3 minutes, they say, and so she had respiratory problem. So what are we gonna do about some of these kids that have to be tracked? And we know that Flint is a high area for trafficking. And these here traffickers probably listening to us now know that our kids gonna be without cell phone once they get off that bus. I would like for us to review this. I'm 100% support of banning cell phone in classroom and on the bus. But I think we have to really think about, and I know we got this new software. However, parents are not walking around on their job with their cell phone on. I just think that we have to really think. I don't have a problem with some of the hoodies, but I really think we need to revisit, because I was looking more so at the pouches. I went along with that. But if we begin to have these conversations, when you said ban, I don't know if I could lend my heart to that, knowing that there's a possibility some child might get snatched up at the bus stop and have no way to locate him or keep him. So that was my concern, and I would love for us to have this conversation a little bit further. Thank you.
Trustee Rutherford.
Thank you. I'm in support of this because Superintendent Jones, this is what you would like to have happen, correct?
Correct.
And you all are in the buildings, and the teacher just came and spoke, and if you all think we need it, I will not dare stand in the way and say no, because God forbid something happened and we didn't do anything, because it sounds like the kids communicate trouble in the building. And not only that, we do know there's a gang issue, and that's their way of communicating. So if this right here can save a life, I'm for it. It's not a matter of if it's going to happen, it's a matter of when. And we need to get ahead of this. Most of the times the buses are in your neighborhood. You walk to the bus stop, and a lot of people look out. I know as an adult, when there's buses, I pay attention like most adults do. You know the kids, you know different kids, but we just have to be vigilant. But this has to happen, you all, with you having so many police officers at the building. A lot of that could have been avoided, but you got cell phones. Every time something happened, before the superintendent knows, it's on Facebook. And that's all because of cell phones. And you guys, come on, it's premeditated. What is it, World Star? They do stuff for likes. And we sitting, you know, we're picking it apart. And it sounds like this administration took their time and talked about it, talked to everyone that they needed to speak to. And now we want to nitpick it and pick it apart. I'm 100% support of this, Mr. Jones.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
I'm a little short. Good evening, everyone. My name is Anupa Shantram. I'm over at Southwestern, and I want to just take you through a typical day of how these students are misusing their cell phones. So when they come into, in the metal detector, and then we see that they have their cell phones. They have to take them out, and the minute they get past that, the earbuds go back in, the phone goes on, and they're constantly distracted by their cell phone. I cannot tell you how many calls I get or emails I get from teachers who are saying that the kids are on their phones and they're not using the time to learn, and really that's what they're there for. The minute they get out of the classroom, they're in the halls constantly on the phone. I just talked with a parent and a child who the child premeditated a fight for a week. Didn't tell any of the administration, but planned it on her phone. And we have to stop that, but we would not be able to have these issues if these students did not have their phones. I'm a parent too, so I understand safety. This is not the safety of the issue that I'm talking about. I want it to be known that it is a distraction from the learning that's going on. And also, we need to teach our students to be responsible. These aren't little elementary kids. These are high school kids. They can talk to their parents and say, I'm getting on bus route 202. That parent will know that they're there. We have apps so that the parent knows that the child got on the bus, the child got off the bus. Once that child is off the bus, I think I can speak for all of us. Have any of you ever not gone straight home? Probably not. You probably went to a friend's house. You did this, that. We need to teach them to be responsible, have communication, and understand that this is the school rules. And at home, that's your home. But if there's a problem at school, there's enough adults there to help them. We can make phone calls. They can communicate on their laptops. There are apps. So it's really more of a distraction than anything else. But what I hate to see is these kids on their cell phones recording everything that goes on that should not be going on. And the last point I want to make is that when the teachers do have their cell phones put away, because there are some teachers that have pockets that the cell phones go in, the learning is going on. The discipline and the behavior is down tremendously. At Southwestern alone, we are 62% down in reduction of discipline. So we're trying hard, but we need more support to make sure this goes through. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee McIntyre?
Yeah, so I'm confused. I'm really confused because I thought we had this discussion and I thought we were pretty much going along with, okay, we need to have some kind of a limitation of cell phones. And everyone's like, cool. And we talked about pockets.
If I may respond to you, I'm sorry. You're talking about the Finance and Operations Committee when they brought the pockets.
Oh, is that what I'm talking about?
So-
Okay.
They brought that to us, and I think I asked a similar question early, and they said that they've since moved away from that at the moment. So I know that we had the discussion with Trustee King and yourself and I and Mr. Jones
Okay.
last month.
Okay.
Just wanted to get
Thank
clarity.
you. No, thank you. That was what was confusing me. I
Yeah.
was like, why aren't we all on board on this? But what I'm hearing is that we need to not have phones in school. That sounds great. I'm supporting that. I told you that. But not, like you said, how do you let the parent know that you're getting on bus route 44 how do you let them know if you have to leave the house and you don't have the communication? So I was about the pockets or some kind of way that we could have better control over that. I'm just so against just having blanket punitive, like, we're gonna ban this, we're gonna ban this, we're gonna ban this, because we're lazy about it. Not that I think that everyone's being very careful in considering this, so that was kind of like probably a good word to use. But this is something new that I haven't thought about the school buses. And again, I apologize for being late and not hearing everybody coming forward, but I don't agree with that part. I don't agree with that part. And I just would like us to be a better district, because we're gonna do our students a disservice. Students need to learn how to be better stewards of their electronic devices, and just, taking them away isn't necessarily going to teach them that. We also need to, there's textbooks that are on phones, there's apps that are on phones. A lot of the things that they are supposed to be learning involve phones, involve apps, involve these electronic devices. So what are we gonna do about that? Our role, our job as a school district is to teach students how to be prepared for the new world, and that involves technology. So you can't just ban the technology and go, that's the solution. I think there's gotta be something. I wanna support you, because I agree that there should be some kind of a line between having the phones in the classroom and on and in your ears all time, that there's got to be some kind of, measurement of that. There's got to be some kind of, oh, you guys, I am so sick. I am so sorry. But there's got to be just some way that we can curtail that to some extent, but just not, I just don't think this is the way, just to say they've got to leave the house and then that's it. So,
I do want to say that we're not banning technology, because all of our kids are 2 to 1 with technology, okay? They have the technology. We're not banning technology. We're banning the cell phone and what's going on with the cell phone. That's what we're doing. But what we're asking.
And if I could really quickly, and I think in the beauty of democracy, and this is what these conversations are about, many of these points were brought to the table in all of these conversations that Mr. Jones had, not just with students, not just with staff, not just with student council, not just with Congress, not just with the UTF, not just with cabinet. All of these things came up too. And the discussions led to the place where the conversations in this democracy and in these conversations led to the banning of cell phones. And so many of these were brought to the floor in larger arenas that you may not have been part of, but wanted to provide you the background and the context for those conversations.
Can I do a point of information real quick? Can you speak to the 2 to 1? I know we understand what 2 to 1 means, but to the people that are watching that don't know what 2 to 1 means, when you say you're not canceling out all electronics with just the 2 to 1?
Yes, sir. All students have a technological device that they have in school and one that is at home with them. Most of them, many of them have been dispersed. There are some students whose parents either refuse to take a technology home for many of the same purposes of the things that we're talking about right now. Thank you. You're welcome, sir.
I do have just a couple of questions as it relates to health issue. And I heard Mr. Stewart say that except for those that have medical condition. So the incident that I explained to you, if we have kids that have to have a phone, are you saying that you guys are going to send out some type of press release and letting parents know that if your child has any handicap or medical condition that will require them to have a phone, that will be provided, although we're still using the same different software? Am I understanding you to say that?
Yes, that is correct. Any students that have a medical condition that's documented,
So
then
in
we
a
would be
case like
able
what
to.
I just described?
As long as
that-
it's documented, yes, and we would work with our
Okay,
our
all
help.
right, thank you.
Thank you for the conversation, and I appreciate the spirit that's around this table with this
Thank you.
conversation to all board members. So one of the things that I think that should be spelled out in the policy that is currently not on the document is what you're saying, Dr. Joyce, in circumstances like we talked about earlier. I think it's necessary for us to spell out what that circumstance would be as it pertains to those with, I forgot what you call that, sickness where they need their
Google
phone.
monitoring.
Yeah, or certain circumstances that may arise. However, I do want to echo what Executive Director of Academics stated, is the table was represented with everyone that will be affected. The table was represented. And I go back to when we had this conversation before about a policy change with book bags. We tabled and we came back to the same realization that we have to do this because of all of those that are involved. I'm just reminding you of that because this is the same scenario. We're about to rehash and rehash. I'm a father too. I get it. I understand that, hey, where are you at? I want to know where you at all times. But the reality is in our district, we had a 3-hour lockdown because of the possibility of something. We came out of that lockdown and there was fights that took place because of the cell phone conversations that were happening even when teachers have tried and the principals have tried to keep scholars away from their cell phones and put it away. So we did talk, to your point, Trustee Laura, we did talk about the pouches. We began we found out about the pouches, that this will be an expense to the general fund every year with these pouches. And we could not pay for this another way. So we began to, that wasn't the only thing, but we began to talk about, well, what if? What about no cell phones? And the table came to the realization is policing it has caused more work and more time away from instruction than not just having them in a building at all. Policing it is a problem and a constant hourly problem, as Ms. Shantram stated. And so I would like us to move forward with it. If you would want to know my advice, I would like us to move forward with it. And if this is something, let's do it the reverse. Let's go with it. And if it's something we come back to see that there is a different way later, let's do it in reverse. Instead of always saying no, why can't we try the opportunity for us to go no cell phones? What's wrong with that method? And then coming back and looking at it 6 months later and assessing it with the add-on of with exception.
Yeah.
There's some exceptions, health-wise. Now, when we talk about those exceptions, we're not saying that these scholars with exceptions all get to walk around with their cell phone. That's not the exception. The exception is that at the beginning of the day or whenever the health situation takes place in the day, then you go to the appropriate person in the school district or in the building to assist you with that. And then we go from there, put the cell phone away with the staff, and then we go from there. And then at the end of the day, with the exception, you get your cell phone back. But the general rule of thumb will be no cell phone. So those are the comments I wanted to make toward this, because I'm going to say this as well, not to take up too much time. When we think about the partnership, when we think about our scores, when we think about all of the things that's surrounding the hurt and the pain that our scholars are feeling, cell phones is a big deal. It's a big part of the bullying. It's a big part of the reason why our scholars are not on task in class. We have iPads, we have Chromebooks, they can have one at home, they can have one at school. We have technology that allows them to not only use it in the school, but use it at home. So I just wanted to add to the conversation by stating where we are with this and all of the folks that were involved in making this decision.
And not to put you on the spot, Mr. Jones, but you were at a superintendent's meeting, and aren't other districts in Genesee County
Absolutely.
are going toward this?
And this is coming up to be I'm not saying that the Genesee County has decided to do this,
Right.
but it's coming to the table
Right.
as a countywide question.
Okay.
It's coming up at the table as a countywide question of banning cell phones in the county.
Treasurer Luna?
Yeah. First off, appreciate the comments of my colleagues and the administrative staff. Heard some good points about equity, about health issues, about just communicating with your children, or about the technology that we are perceived to not have in the class or do have in the class. But there's a couple points I want to say why I'm supporting this tonight, and I encourage my colleagues to support it as well. Number one, I haven't taught in 5 years, and I coached 2 years ago in Flint Community Schools, but within that 5-year span, the way technology moves, there's so many new apps and things, but I'll speak to my time when I taught 5 years ago. Cell phones in classrooms tend to be a distraction from the instructional of our students and their learning, and these students already come behind in the classroom, so every second and minute they can get that is more learning, I'm for. And that's just my anecdote. I want to leave it at that. That's my only personal experience. But when you look at instruction, the teacher oftentimes is constantly addressing this issue, and it takes away from both the class management, the student learning. And to be clear, they have 2 to 1. The teacher has a cell phone. They have apps that are new even when I taught, but we used Class Dojo then. When it comes to the busing situation, kind of the same thing. These kids will begin the conversation oftentimes, and not all kids, I'm just saying these kids, but some kids will begin the bullying behavior in the classroom, take it to the lunchroom, take it to the bus, and it becomes an issue where it starts and just further escalates throughout the day. So I'm thinking about student safety in that regard. And by the way, too, there's been instances across the country where not only have these two students have kind of prepped a fight, but they've involved other folks outside the school building and outside the bus to be involved in that fight. And that, to me, makes a student less safe, as well as the bus driver and even the teacher and the student's family. My final point is this. I think we should pass this measure tonight and immediately get to work on how this board can better support teachers, administrators, and school leaders in the classroom, because we've been talking about a public safety committee for months now.
Yes.
And we've just not moved on it, so I think we bear some responsibility. So if we can give
Yes.
them some grace with this measure, and then who knows, by June, we may have something going, or we could revisit this and give them additional tools or revise the tools that they've asked for tonight. And I just don't want to go against them, because this could empower teachers who, again, feel they don't have the support of our school board on measures they've talked about, whether it be their school leaders, their colleagues, or the folks who really focus on that. So I'll be supporting this tonight.
Thank you, Treasurer Luna. So I'm gonna say my second round real quick. I don't see in here where it says the smart watches, because you still can create the similar conversation via your watch. Is that on here as well?
I think that falls under the electronic device.
Okay, all right, I just wanted to, so, Mr. Stewart, this is directly to you. You were an athlete, this is not bad. This is not, no, you looked at me like, what's up? But no, this is because, I'm gonna speak to you in an analogy that I like to put things into perspective, helps me put things into perspective. When you play football, if a lineman goes off sides, the entire team goes back 5 yards, correct?
Correct.
So because one person made a mistake, it affects the entire team.
That's correct.
When you play basketball, when you foul somebody, the entire team earns a team foul, correct?
Correct.
When you do a flagrant foul or something, everybody has to line up at the free throw line, or everybody has to line up at the half court line while the person shoots a free throw, correct?
Correct.
So what I'm trying to get at is that because of the actions of one or two people, the entire team is now forced to suffer the consequences because somebody on the team didn't hold up their end of the bargain, or didn't take their end of the bargain seriously enough. So now it affects everyone. That's what I'm trying to say. So I think I've leaned more towards supporting this, but what I would like to see is something down the line, like in the 6 months, if they can, I don't know if we can some type of way get it doing on a point system or some type of merit system to where the kids can, the students can earn their, this privilege back or something like that. I think I'm looking at the teachers in the back, I'm looking at you all here, I'm thinking about the incidents that we've seen on the news. I've heard what Mr. Jones said, and it just seems like, as bad as I hate to say it, you know what I mean? I think that we need to look at moving into this, looking at this, the ban. And again, I'm not with the bus thing. I don't agree with that, but I do know what happens on the buses. I do know what happens. I know what could have happened if some of those situations did not have cell phones. I know myself, I wouldn't have gotten calls from TMZ. I wouldn't have gotten calls from news agents around the country if cell phones would not have been in that classroom. And since that day, I've still been defending, though, I'm not going to say with that person. So I think I'm going to move to support the cell phone ban, at least for a temporary time. And I just wanted to get that out there. So it's rough, but I wanted to put it in an analogy that I understand, that I like to put things with. I'm a team player, I like to say, and I played a lot of sports. So this incident.
One more thing.
Go ahead.
This doesn't come without staff, including me, on down, looking at how we are utilizing our devices as well. We stated this at the table, that if we're asking scholars not to bring their cell phones. We have to be responsible enough to put ours away. There's reasons why we have them, and it's necessary because we're the professionals and we need to be able to communicate properly in our work. But we're looking, when we get to the next item, we're going to be taking that on as well. And my Friday visits at school will be hoodieless. So we have to model, but because we're doing the work, of course, we can't go without it as it pertains to cell phone, but there will be some modeling going on with this as well as we are asking scholars to do away with their phones. So I want to put that out there because it's important for us not to put our phones all in their face if we're asking them to not bring theirs. We need to start modeling it and only use our cell phones when necessary as responsible adults.
I agree. Vice President McNeil, and we're going to wrap up after
Okay,
her.
that'll be it. Thank you, Trustee Dillon, for bringing it back to our attention. We had 6 months to put together a safety policy, the board did. And we had one meeting on safety. And we talked about pouches and whatever. Then we went off on another place and space. And the board has an obligation. You guys came to us, we said the same thing about teach out, and we was given a test as a board to create a safety policy. And just because we like due diligence to do our job, they have to keep moving. You guys kept moving, and this is the result. If we had wanted something different, I said several times, we need to create that safety policy. And we have not done it as of today. I think 6-month pilot program will give us opportunity to look at this here and write policy. This is what the board do. And because we did not, you guys are giving us what best worked for you. Just only thing I said, look at that safety part, health issue that I asked, and we just do what Mr. Jones requested. This is a pilot program. A lot of other districts watching Flint. We was in a meeting in Lansing, and the question that they was asking us in this meeting, they had issue with safety. Why has it not happened to Flint schools? They couldn't believe that. Why nobody shooting up Flint? Why, and they just came, suburban board members just came out and asked. And that is because we're doing what we're doing now. We don't wait until it happened. We stepped up years ago. So I'm going to support this because of my lack of not creating something better, being able to sit at the table and negotiate. And I don't want to tap the board time, but I will be supporting this. Thank you.
Okay, excuse me. Seeing no further discussion, the motion to approve Resolution 21.11, amendment to policy number 5136, personal communication devices, no cell phones for students, for adoption will be conducted by a roll call vote.
Mr. President, before the vote, I just want to be clear that when we talk about a parent giving the exception, we're talking about medical clearance for the exception. We're not talking about a note from mom.
Right.
We're talking about medical
Yes.
clearance for the exception. I
Thank
just
you.
wanted to make sure we said that on the record.
Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Medical documentation.
Yes.
Point of
Trustee McIntyre.
information.
Trustee McIntyre.
So just for clarity, this is not a point of information, so I apologize, but I've listened to my colleagues, and sorry for barging in here late and, disrupting the conversation and everything, but I've listened very carefully, and I appreciate everybody's input, and so I'll be voting for it. But how is this, I guess I'm confused about how it's going to get rewritten. I see be it resolved. Did we talk about this? How it's
No,
gonna
but
be?
we were in the middle of a roll call vote, so how do we go back?
It was this point of information.
Yes, so do we go,
How is it going to be integrated, or how is it going to be rewritten?
How are we going to put it in the policy?
Yeah, is it
Is that what you're
just going to be added, or is it going to be inserted, or?
So, like we did with the other policy, with the book bags, we're going to make it policy, but we're going to go through Neola in order to make sure that that's done properly.
That was my question.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's a good
Okay.
question.
Okay, thank you. So we will now conduct a roll call vote. Treasurer Luna,
Yes.
Trustee King,
Yes.
Trustee Rutherford,
Yes.
excuse me, Vice President McNeil,
Yes.
Trustee McIntyre,
Yes.
Secretary Perkins,
Yes.
myself, President Clark, vote yes. The motion passes 7-0. Don't bring no cell phones up in here, y'all. Okay. Okay, so, Mr. Jones?
Yes. I seek a motion and a second
Are
from
they
the
done?
board to approve Resolution 21.12, Amendment to Student Code of Conduct, No Hoodies for Students.
Support. I make
I make a
Okay.
motion.
I make a motion, sorry.
Okay, so, Trustee Rutherford, did you support or did you make the motion?
I make a motion.
Support.
Okay, it has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? I have some discussion. So I specifically remember, or maybe I don't, but this summer when we had meetings at Southwestern,
Yes.
when we discussed the mask, the hoodies and the face mask, right? I thought we went over this already, because I remember going over to the school and I saw the kids with the hoodies on, and I remember saying, "What? I thought we just voted to have this stuff. So what are we doing back here?
We didn't.
We didn't talk about hoodies.
We didn't vote for no hoodies.
We just did face masks. I mean, the ski mask.
I don't,
It was referenced, the code of conduct, it was referenced, you follow the code of conduct, no hoodies, remove your hoods. But yeah, this says take away hoodies. You can't wear a hooded jacket.
But I thought I specifically remember Trustee McIntyre saying something that was against the ban of the hoodies.
Yeah, I remember that.
It was
we didn't
in
make
the
a vote
review
on it.
of the code of conduct.
So we never voted on
No.
anything.
We voted on the code of conduct, we passed that.
Yes.
Okay.
Trustee McIntyre raised that issue up of the hoodie part, which, yeah.
So,
we brought the Student Code of Conduct forward. You all voted it into action, as you would do every year, or when we bring it forward, I think it's every year, right?
Every other year, yes.
Every other year, okay. So maybe it came up in that conversation.
I thought we changed it in Neola though, when we went into that to check the list and the hoodies didn't.
But we have not, with Neola, it haven't been, what's the term I want to use? Yeah, we have to have the reading, so it's not in,
Okay, so,
effective, yeah.
okay, I'm just
And
asking
if
for
it's
myself.
something they need to change, we could go back to Neola and change it.
Okay, I'm just
Yeah,
asking for
yeah.
myself.
So this is not a policy change.
Right.
This is a Student Code of Conduct change.
Okay,
Right.
okay.
So this is not, that's why
Okay.
this reads Amendment to the Student Code of Conduct.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Yes.
All right, so Trustee McIntyre.
Oh, God, you know how I feel about hoodies. But I'm listening, and I understand the reasons for and against. I guess the one question I would have is, it says you can't have a hoodie, hoodies are not allowed in school lockers, so they're gonna be prohibited, like, so you can't just bring it with you and not wear it and like, if you need it after school or something, is that the case?
So what we would like their students to do is bring their hoodie, because some of them have to wear it for like coats, then they'll put them in their lockers, and then they can get them at the end of the day. No?
It says though.
No? Am I reading it wrong? Sorry.
If I could,
It says hoodies are not to be worn inside the school buildings or on buses. Hoodies are not allowed in scholars' lockers. And that's what's on page 18.
Yeah, it's basically, hoodies are not allowed, correct, it's like cell phones, basically, the hoodies are not allowed, is what it's saying.
For background context, again, many of the same questions were lifted, many of the same questions which I know, just based upon our previous conversation, would be the same thing about student autonomy and about us making sure that we are adhering to the dismantling structures which did not promote a school-to-prison pipeline. Overwhelmingly in the room, of a very diverse room. It was decided upon of many people, including some students that agreed to it, that we should not have hoodies on premises at all.
Fleeces, sweaters.
Yeah, fleeces, sweaters were brought up,
Sweatshirts with no
sweatshirts,
hoods,
that they could,
all
those, there's
are-
plenty of alternatives is what the conversation
They're
ended
all
on.
allowed,
So are
not
hoods-
the hoodie.
So a sweater
A sweater, a
with a hood,
sweatshirt,
with a hood is not allowed?
no, nothing with a hood on it. Well, as far as wearing it, a coat, you can wear a coat to school that has a hood because you're gonna be putting your coat away.
Okay.
But the hoodies are the issues. And so what the overwhelming support is around is just no hoodies. And we won't be selling hoodies as well.
Okay.
Or adults wearing hoodies as well.
And students don't use hoodies as coats?
Yes. Yes, they do.
Yes, they do.
Yes, they do. And we are,
But we provide the hood.
Right, but they're prohibited, though.
we are aware that students, there's a fashion trend that they wear hoodies as coats, or they don't wear traditional coats. They wear hoodies to match whatever it is they're wearing that day. And so, but again,
Well, I'm talking about students who don't have coats, who are using a hoodie because that's the warmest thing they have.
you got,
So this district provides,
yeah,
we provide coats, we provide gloves, we provide hats, we provide shoes, we provide socks. So if there is any student that does not have a coat, we are going to make sure that that student has a coat.
Okay, I guess,
Okay.
so maybe I'm just missing something. Hoodies are not allowed in Scholars Lot, so that you just can't, you can't even take them out of the house? That you can't come to the bus stop, you can't come to school with a hoodie?
here again, I always come from the safety realm. So here again, you have students who plan things and they have their hoodies on, they walk to someone else's bus stop and they're assaulting kids.
Okay.
And all of that is a problem. Like you said, it's dark out. Even if the kid videotaped it, we really can't determine who that person is because they have their hoods on, right? And so as a safety measure, it's always safety for me. And it was happening too often that kids were going to other bus stops with their hoods on and assaulting kids. So,
Well, I'm going to play devil's advocate only on that part is they can put on a coat and put on a hood and do the same thing. But where we're having most of our issue at is in school. As it pertains to, what we're trying to prevent is in school as it pertains to when we're looking at video, when we're trying to figure out what's going on, students are using the hoodie as a measure to not get caught in their behaviors. And I wouldn't say that that's the only reason why they're using their hoodie, but they're using their hoodies and it's causing us not to be able to identify students when issues are happening. So when it's cold, if there's ever an issue when your building doesn't have or heat go down, then we take measures in that and say, go get your coat, put your coat on, and we'll take care of our scholars. But what we're trying to prevent is the hoodie continually being a problem in school. And it is a problem outside of school as it pertains to buses as well. It is a problem there, but that's why we're trying to prohibit this. Mr. Stewart, I think that you wanted to kind of say something. Maybe I said something that wasn't quite on.
well,
I just want to get it all out there and be transparent.
Like I said, when I look at safety, I'm concerned about them because our code book states that we are responsible for them from the time they leave the house to the time they return home. So if hoodies is causing a problem at the bus stop, for me, that's an issue for me. If it's causing problems at the school, that's a problem for me.
It is for me
So
as well.
I want to make sure that I make that clear.
Yeah, thank you.
Trustee Rutherford.
You must have been reading my notes where I was just saying we're responsible for the students, the time they walk out that door to the time they get back. And I happen to be at Southwestern. In those long hallways, if they throw a hoodie on, and it's black, you have no idea who you're looking for. And students, not every student have good intentions, you all. And yes, when you're on a team, we're all on a team at Flint Schools. If one mess up, we all in trouble. We all are going to suffer the consequences. But I just ask that we approve this because we got to give them a chance. Rules for a reason. If we don't show them how to follow rules now, they're going to grow up and be defiant. And individuals who they will be defiant with will not give them grace. And I'm just asking you all, do not teach these kids how to be defiant. Rules for a reason. You cannot change a rule because you don't like it. Rules protect. Rules keep you safe. Rules prevent things from happening. So if they're asking us again, they're asking us to help them do what they need to do. Please, let's not stand in their way. Thank you.
So this is, I'm only going to take a couple seconds because this, to me, this is I'm not after. So I think that this should be an easy one, okay? And I don't say that, I know Trustee McIntyre, I just saw that look, but I'm just, but this, and what I'm gonna say is from personal experience. And this is mainly for the secondary education buildings, are correct that they have the main issues with the hoodies? I'm assuming, is that correct?
Well, we had elementary principals there as well.
That are violating
representing their building, that they may not have as big of the problem,
Right,
but
there's-
they
okay.
still wear hoodies and things as well.
Okay, well, excuse me for misspeaking then, but if you, and I'm speaking to my colleagues here and to the people that are in the crowd, even if you have not had the opportunity to go into the school or you have no reason to go into the school, when you go into, I'm just gonna say the one that Southwestern, and and you go into the hallways and you see a wave of kids with hoodies on, it makes you start to think, is this a professional learning environment, or are we, somewhere different? And I've been, we all were high school students at one time. We all know we want to be in style, but at the end of the day, I see it from an educator's point of view, because someone could actually sneak into your class and you not know who they are. That's not a situation that happens all the time, but I've heard of it happening. It's happened to my class before. I am going to, the same thing that I will say for the last one, even though I think this one is a little bit different, the same parameters maybe to see that I said on the last one, maybe we can see if they can earn some points back or something like that. But for this right now, for what we've been going through the past couple of weeks and the past couple of months, I think that we need to really seriously look into this and consider it. So I'm just gonna say that. That's all I gotta say. Treasurer Luna was next, and then Vice President McNeil.
I'll be quick. I'll be supporting this tonight. I would say to Mr. Jones, two things to consider next year. One, maybe just like a informational, it could be an email actually, and you gotta organize it. Just an email of all the different services that we provide our students, because I don't think it's known to some parents, but also the members of the community, about how much wraparound services we provide to our students on a daily basis when it comes to their safety, their health, when it comes to some of their medical needs, after-school activities, during school activities and programs. So just that'd be nice. It's not urgent, but at some point, just so we can speak to it, because a lot of folks don't know, and some of us don't know. On a similar note too, I think it'd be helpful if we had some scheduled walkthroughs at some of our schools, elementary, middle, and high school, just as a group. I know there's issues with like more than 4. I'm not sure if that applies to that. Just so we can see firsthand as a group, a collective group, some of the things that we're doing right, some of the challenges, and some of the things that you guys talk about that you bring to us on a regular basis. It could be helpful and limit some of the time we spend at these meetings on these kinds of issues.
Okay, Vice President McNeil.
Thank you. Since I've been sitting on the board for about 3 years, and now I've been out of the classroom for about 3 years, and when I go back and look at these classroom, nothing much has changed as it regards to cell phones, hoodie. They are such a distraction. It's irritating. It's very hard to teach when you have 20-some or 30 kids in a classroom and everybody doing their own thing. I support the not wearing the hoodies because you have to be in that environment all day long. And when a teacher comes to a classroom, you're not a teacher anymore. When we walk in that building, we're wearing so many different hats. And I'm going to support, because that's the purpose for me being here, is to change the trajectory that I saw teachers are going through. And because I wasn't certified, thank God, because I can sit here and say some things that most certified teachers won't say. And we got to start somewhere. And the eyes is on Flint. Since we left Lansing, the eyes are on us as for safety. And we got great accolades in that particular meeting. And so we are gonna be the first to step out. No cell phones, no hoodies. Give it a try. Then who knows, we might come back. And I was at one school to bring your cell phone in. They paid $3, and they were on a Friday, you know, and Friday was Technology Day. And this particular school makes about $2,000 or $3,000 a reward system. And so as we I was at a school that does that. So as our children begin to be disciplined, and guess what? Those kids that had that particular day, their behavior was just as normal as they did not have it because they knew it was a privilege. So cell phone is a privilege. Hoodies and all of that. Hey, maybe after you get your act together, get these reading scores up. We're spending all this money in this district trying to get these kids up to point, but we're not doing nothing to take away the distraction. So I will be supporting this, and hopefully we don't be all night trying to decide. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Treasurer King? Trustee King, I'm tripping.
Hoodies are not to be worn inside the school building or on school buses. That was already inside the student code of conduct, right? And we still having a problem with students wearing hoodies at school.
Yes.
What was the challenge in that?
Well, honestly, we just have to be more diligent as administrators ourselves in ensuring that they follow our rules that we have in place. But again, even when our administrators are diligent, like I said, if we allow them to have them in the building, they have them on their head. We say, remove the hoodie, they remove it, 3 more steps, it's back on their head.
Well,
And so by banning them all together and not allow them to even bring them to the school, that would help us address that as well. And again, we as administrators and as teachers, we have to all speak the same language in the building throughout the district with this as well. So I want to make sure that you know that we do have a part to play in this.
so where it says hoodies are not allowed in scholars' lockers, what was the rationale there? Like, if I want to wear a hoodie to school, why can't I just put it in my locker?
If it's in your locker, at any opportunity, anytime you get to go to your locker or transition, you can go to your locker and get your hoodie. And that becomes a struggle, right? Because you have 6 classes, you change class, every hour you change class, you have opportunity to go to your locker and get your hoodie. You get your hoodie, and then you have to be told by an adult to return your hoodie to your locker. That takes up manpower and time, and it's just a fight that, you continue to have with students.
Okay.
Superintendent Jones.
Only thing I'll say is it goes back to policing, but it also goes to, we also have the issue in this area of the manpower and hours that it takes to constantly do it. It also becomes insubordination every single time, and then now we're suspending students for hoodies constantly. And so our administrators are saying, Superintendent Jones, they're saying to the cabinet, we're spending our entire day trying to figure out how we're going to stop scholars from putting on hoodies. We call parents. We don't have the support that we need for them. Why are you calling me about a hoodie? Why do you keep calling me about a hoodie? Well, we're calling you about a hoodie because your child is not listening to the rules, and they're not doing their work because they're mad over a hoodie. So we're constantly dealing with the hoodie over and over again, just like the cell phone.
Okay, is there any more discussion? Okay, seeing no further discussion, the motion to approve.
I'm sorry, I do. I'm sorry, I meant to say something. In regards to the union in Congress, are they on board with this in
Yes.
regards to discipline if it's not enforced? Well,
Repeat
my
that.
question is none of this is new. It's been in the code of conduct.
Correct.
But we're putting more emphasis on it now. My question, and I don't help me, is it because of the lack of enforcement? Because I've heard administrators say to me, it's not worth it to me to stop a student from wearing a hoodie. It's not worth it. I pick my battles. That's not a battle I want. This was a conversation.
And I understand that. I think, like I said just a minute ago, that we as administrators and teachers, staff, have to all speak the same language, right? But it was just the reason why you were probably hearing, I don't want to fight that battle, is because it's constant every day that every hour, every 15 minutes that you're telling students to remove, their hoodies. And if you're a building with 500 students and everybody's wearing their hoodies, I mean, that's all day. You just walk around telling kids to take off their hoodies. And you can't, do anything else or make sure that instruction is being given.
So not having hoodies enter the building, period.
Correct.
So that's really what you all are saying?
Correct.
Not even in the building, period. And all the teachers are going to speak the same language. So a student comes in with a hoodie. Somehow they get past. What happened? Walk me through. What does that look like?
So in addition to asking for this ban of hoodies, we've also instituted some steps that are included in our MTSS protocols and framework. So there would be a referral process of where interventions would be provided to the student to figure out what barriers need to be removed to support the student in making better choices, and then a continuum of consequences that would ensue, because eventually it's not about the hoodie anymore, it's about insubordination at some point in time. And so it would be following a framework. We've already created a tiered system to be able to support administrators and teachers in that particular endeavor to ensure that we can minimize the opportunity for suspensions by providing interventions, but also by eliminating hoodies provides for kids more time in school and more instruction.
Maybe you said and I didn't hear it. Are you guys going to close classes pending parent conference if we have habitual ones?
Yes, that could be a step to it, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
It could be.
It could be.
Yeah.
It may not need to be that.
Okay.
Of course, we're not trying to do that, but if it comes to the insubordination
Yeah.
of it,
Yes.
then we will follow the discipline process.
Yeah,
that we
most
have
definitely.
For scholars.
So everyone's prepared for the pushback.
We've talked to
It's gonna be
Congress,
major.
we've talked to Congress, we have talked to UTF, we've talked to the principal group, we've provided those supports and what those interventions should look like throughout the continuation of consequences. We've done some of the training that we did at MSU this weekend was about the tiered system of support and how to eliminate behaviors that continue to be a hindrance to academic learning. And
Okay.
that would be one of those things.
How about parents?
We have a rollout that's going to be going out to roll out communication that's going to go out via social media, via each individual building. I mean, there's an entire plan going forth as soon as this board,
Based on, based
makes
on
their
your
decisions.
Okay.
We couldn't do that until this was decided.
Well, I guess for me, you're going to have irate parents. I buy my kids clothes. This is what I want them to wear. Just to have your verbiage ready and not to become defensive, and not to tell you all what to say, but policy, school, not so much as this is what we think. No. School, let's use the school code of conduct. let's use policy and procedures when it comes to that and educate the parents. It's in there. And it's for the safety, but just, I guess for me, I just don't want to hear, don't get smart with my mom. It's just so much that can pop off with, I don't want to use the word pop off. So much can happen with this. I think it's for the best, but I guess I'm a little cautious on the educators and the administrators being able to handle the pushback. I want everybody to be successful.
I very much appreciate that feedback, and it very much is in line with the steps that we plan on taking to go ahead and support this effort. And I also appreciate the heart in which you're carrying that with, to make sure that we're paying attention to listen to parents, but also to remove those barriers so kids can be in school and kids can learn. And I think, and to follow rules and make sure that we're instituting things in a way that considers our whole community and all of our stakeholders.
Okay, so just to make sure, so Congress and the union are supporting this?
They were at the table and they said yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, ma'am.
And the parents.
And I'm sorry, paralegals? I apologize. Para-union, I'm sorry, you all, para-union.
Okay. Trustee McIntyre?
Yeah, so I just wanted to say that I will be supporting this by my vote. However, I'm not supporting it ideologically, personally, because of all the reasons I'm just kind of like stating that. And I just hope we can get to, I appreciate all your hard work. I appreciate the consideration that everybody's shown. I don't want to take up too much time. I just hope we can get to a point where our district, where we don't have to ban items of clothes and, be so punitive, and we can really, empower our students in a much better way. So I appreciate everybody's work on this, and I'm not going to stand in the way of that, but I hate to see Flint be a stereotype, because we all know how, when, and where, and why hoodies became criminalized. So I don't want to, belabor that. So thank you.
Okay, any other discussion? Seeing no further discussion, the motion to approve resolution 21 .12, the amendment to Student Code of Conduct, no hoodies for students, for adoption will be conducted by a roll call vote. As I say your name, please say yes or no to approve this motion. Treasurer Luna.
Yes.
Trustee King.
Yes.
Trustee Rutherford.
Yes.
Vice President McNeil.
Yes.
Trustee McIntyre.
Yes.
Secretary Perkins.
Yes.
Myself, President Clark, vote yes. The motion passes 7-0. Okay, don't y'all bring no hoodies up in here. Okay, Mr. Jones.
I seek a motion and a second from the board to accept the $14 million grant from the Mount Foundation for Brownell and Holmes renovation proposal.
So
So
moved.
moved.
So moved.
One of y'all got to second it.
I make
Everybody-
a motion that we do that.
Okay,
Support.
okay.
Is this point of information, is there a number on this action item?
You can't move the microphone.
Oh, I'm so sorry. It's information, it's 22.3?
Yes.
But you want a page number, that's what you said.
No, yeah,
So this is information, but it's becoming an action item.
it's not information, it's an action item.
22 No, the 22.3 is the phased approach.
We need to add a number to it.
Okay, so this would be
Yes.
21.13?
It needs to be a number added, so that's.
Oh, all right, okay, so it's before the
21.13.
Yes,
information,
ma'am. Yes,
so it would be 21,
.13.
21.13.
thank you.
21.13, so I'll do this again. I seek a motion and a second from the board to, I don't know if I can do that. We're in the middle of a motion.
So we can just,
We just changed the numbers.
yeah, we can just change the
We'll
number.
add a number to it. Okay.
21.13 is what you said.
Yes.
Okay.
So we'll add the number for the record, 21.13.
So should I add it on here when I make the speech, here?
So withdraw the motion to add it.
Point of information.
Which point? Yes, sir.
What was the original motion?
It just didn't have a number on it.
What was the motion?
The motion is to accept the $14 million grant from the
That's
MOP.
I think you're fine. You don't have to add a number. You got to go through all that. I
Right.
mean, you had made the motion. A motion always in order, so the motion is fine.
So no, but my question was, should I just add the number on when I'm reading the script as a,
I don't think you should.
so just read it as it is?
I mean, it's like a motion's always in order.
Okay.
So,
I'm just gonna read it how it is, and then we'll add it at.
Thank you.
Okay. So seeing no further discussion, the motion to accept the $14 million grant from the Mott Foundation for Brownell and Holmes renovation proposal for adoption will be conducted by a roll call vote. As I call your name, please say yes or no to approve this motion. Treasurer Luna?
Yes.
Trustee King?
yes.
Trustee Rutherford?
I'm gonna say no because of the number. 'Cause that's gonna come back.
Okay. Vice President McNeil?
Yes.
Trustee McIntyre?
Yes.
Secretary Perkins?
Yes.
Myself, President Clack, vote yes. The motion
President?
passes. Yes, sir.
I may have missed it, but I just had a question before the vote. I didn't say it during the vote, but now that it's passed, I had a quick question. Could I direct it towards Mr. Jones?
Hold on. Let
Yeah.
me read the. It passes 6-1. So yes, go ahead, Treasurer Luna.
Yeah. Could you just provide the community what the $14 million goes towards
Sure.
and how it leverages federal funds?
Sure. So we have already, the board has already decided to do some renovations to the north end of Flint. And those renovations for Brownell and Holmes were mostly on the inside of the facilities. And there's not been a lot done on that, in our north end schools. We had a vision to begin to work with our Flint community, I always get this name wrong, the neighborhood association.
Yes.
And how we can leverage having resources for adults, having resources come in, after-school activities, having more resources, and maybe some things, and this is an example, many people trying to get downtown to handle business is not always easy. So Flint Community Schools being able to add this cube, and some other facade renovations, and also adding on to the sports complex at Holmes and Brownell. Not only that, but early childhood, being able to have more opportunity for GSRP classrooms in Brownell is a great opportunity. And we reached out to the My Foundation to begin those conversations. And again, board, I showed you a proposal, brought you a proposal, turned that proposal into a document to turn into the My Foundation, which they have come back to us and has accepted the opportunity to give Flint Community Schools the $14 million. And now it's time for us to say, okay, we'll accept your $14 million.
Right.
So we're going from a $26, $27 million project to a $40 million project on the north end of Flint. And we are excited about it, and so is the neighborhood group, the community that we've talked to about this. We did meet with the neighborhood group. We actually met with the neighborhood group at the library, and we also met with the neighborhood group at Brownell. And so we've been heavily involved in trying to ensure, many of you have pictures, the pictures have been out there for a while of what this will look like, and this is the first time in the United States where a cube is being built on the property of a school. This is a concept that we believe that we want to pilot on the north end first, and then see how this works for our school community, to be able to look at it for future schools as we continue on. This is unique to Flint Community Schools, and this is a great opportunity for this to be paid for, and we're ready to move forward with it.
Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Okay, so,
So, Mr. Jones, can I say something?
It is owned and operated by Flint Community
Thank you.
Schools.
Amen.
This is owned and operated by Flint Community Schools. There is nothing being added to this or taken away from Flint Community Schools. I want to be clear that no one is putting property on our property, to own it, or to run it. This is owned and operated by Flint Community Schools, and it will be that way until the board decides differently.
Okay, Vice President McNeil.
And I just want to say this, our students and scholars at Holmes are coming back home to home, the new home school. We are not closing down home school. I know there's some media out there that's saying that the kids are not coming back. Our children are coming back to a brand-new facility, and we are looking forward for them to come back. We are not closing down homes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Trustee McIntyre?
Yeah, and let me just add, as someone who's been very vocal about partnerships, about community partnerships and stakeholders, I want to extend my gratitude and appreciation to Thomas Parker and to the Mott
Yes.
Foundation for being those partners that we have reached out to and asked for. I'm really heartened and encouraged by this development, and I hope it's the beginning of more partnerships. This is the way that partnerships should be, and I know I've said, they've acted like colonial occupiers in the past, and this is way to go. Well done. This is a good start to remedying and rectifying some of the hurts and the slights that have been, over the past decades between schools and partners. So we are grateful to the Mott Foundation and to everyone who worked hard on this, to the community, to the neighborhood associations. This is a joint effort that involves not just the school district, but the community, the neighborhoods, the stakeholders, the partners. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Treasurer
Ms.
Luna,
McIntyre.
and then Secretary Perkins.
I'll be brief. To echo the statements of my colleagues, so this is an example of us leveraging federal funds together with philanthropic dollars to really invest in our students, our facilities in a way that's long-term, that should boost student achievement. And hopefully we can continue this effort in the future with other properties and initiatives. I mean, 2 months ago, we just signed an MOU with the Flint Center for Educational Excellence to actually provide programming for our students and a host of other issues. So I think we're moving in the right direction, and I think this hopefully is the beginning to more to come.
Okay. Secretary Perkins?
I just want to say that I'm going to echo what Dr. McNeil said, and the fact that we are really working together, partnering. Many of us that are at the board right now, we're in the community with the neighborhood groups, and we discussed these renovations at length, and I think it's going to really enhance the north end of Flint. And I'm really proud of us. We did a great job in trying to come together to get this done. And I think that not just the board, but the community is going to be really proud when the renovations are done. So, that's it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. So I would like to open moving forward. No, we're not there.
Where we at? Human resource? Yeah.
No, completion we're at 22, information.
We
The
just
completion
did
of
that.
phase approach.
Yeah, that's why we changed that number. We changed that number.
We changed 21.13.
21.13.
1-3.
Yeah, the
Oh,
one, yeah,
okay,
we're
okay,
at 22.3, the phased approach. So I would like to open the floor regarding information item 22.3, the completion of the phased approach. I'm sorry.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I requested after our FINAP meeting, because we had a robust FINAP subcommittee meeting a couple weeks ago, and I shared that we decided two schools in our phased approach, but I think it's pertinent for our board to decide the other two, because we have a half plan that's currently out inside the community and leaving our family members in limbo, I'm gonna call it. And so I just asked, that we have a discussion to talk about the other two buildings that we want to repurpose, and we just finish it out, and then we move forward.
Are we having discussion?
I didn't make a motion yet, so.
Yeah, so
Yeah, it's good discussion.
there's no motion been made yet, so there's no discussion, so
So what is
This
he
is-
recommending?
can you,
Oh, he want us to talk about the phase two.
yeah, keep it.
Point of order, the board members just requesting this to be on the agenda so that
Oh,
we can just talk about it.
so late.
Okay.
Treasurer Lewin?
Oh, go.
I won't go into specifics about what I think is the best move to complete the phased approach, but I'll just leave a few comments on a higher level amount of things. I think the sooner we make a decision and then begin to plan for that transition, both for families and students, but also for the actual campus of the facilities, I think it's better. We spent a lot of money with Plant Marion Cressa when it came to data, how Michigan and Flint and the county are losing population, birth rates, all that good stuff. But also, I just want to go back to the map that it's in my head 100% clear how it was done. When you look at our 11 schools that we have, students in, we have 2 on the north side, Brownell and Holmes. We have 1 on the east side, Potter Elementary. We have 1 in the southeast corridor, Freeman. Moving kind of further north, kind of right between the northeast and southeast, we have ALA. When you go to the southwest corridor, I think that's where the vast majority of our schools exist. So you have DTM, you have Eisenhower, you have Nethercutt, and then you have Southwestern. So for me, when we talk about what's the best difficult decision to make, I see it from an equity lens first, because if we closed the only school on the east side, then that leaves an entire quadrant of our city where our students will just leave to go towards, the schools in Burton, so Atherton, Bendel, Genesee, some of the charter schools. We have the only school that's traditional. I want to make that clear too, traditional, right? K-5, or K-6, Freeman, in the southeast. So there'd be no traditional elementary school in the southeast corridor. Now there is ALA kind of in between that, but this is a non-traditional program that, in my opinion, could be served at a larger facility, because we talked about how underutilized our buildings are, and there's space to consolidate. I know DTM has a lot of students there, but there's space for capacity. So I really wanted y'all to think about where we can fit students at, how we can do this in an equitable, responsible manner, and then what's fair to our students. Because look, we know if the data shows when you close a school, you're going to lose net students. The good thing is we're making improvements to our actual school facilities, but if we close the only school on the east side, it's my belief that we're gonna lose a lot more if we, as opposed to closing this school, there's a huge glut of different schools. Glut's the wrong word, where there's a huge concentration of schools in a specific area, aka the southwest corridor. So I just leave it at that. That's my thought process, and I use that based off the data we paid for from Plant Marion Cressa, the discussions we've had at the board table, but also hearing from members of the community that, look, we know you had to close schools. We know that there's 15,000 students in the city, but only 3,000 roughly attend your schools. We're seeing the improvements you're making at places like Dorrider, Brownell, and really all the schools. I mean, it's all the parking lot outside, but just do it in a way that we know in advance, and it's done responsibly, so we don't have a Central or a Johnson on our hands in a couple years.
Trustee McIntyre?
So yeah, this does come out of a robust discussion that we did have in a finance subcommittee meeting, and I want to give credit to the trustees for indulging me, because they were like, well, let's not talk about it because the Superintendent Jones was sick. And I said, well, it's something that I think that we need to keep moving forward and, keeping to the forefront because of the timeliness of it. And I think a couple of points that I want to make, we don't necessarily have to, and I don't think this is the time to have this discussion. I think we should probably make more specific agenda items. But the reason that I wanted to at least revisit this publicly so that we could keep it in our mind before the break was because of, as Trustee Luna said, the Plant Moran Cressa report, that we are still sitting on these decisions. It's very timely. And, we owe it to our community and to the neighborhoods to, keep, showing that we're being urgent about it. I would like to, one of the things that we did talk about that I would like to emphasize with the board and maybe to bring up as an agenda item is we've taken a defensive approach to a lot of our properties, abandoned and currently in use. And the idea has been, we don't have a policy that's, I think, is working for us, that we need to be more proactive in our policy about how we can start looking at these properties and engaging with the community in different ways, that we need to be more offensive, and that sounds weird, but be on the offense with it, and I think what we talked about was perhaps the board coming to one mind about kind of the general idea that we'd like these properties to be used for, rather than, someone coming and saying, hey, I want to do this with your property and I want you to give it to me for $500, and then I'm going to crowdfund and GoFund and do this kind of thing. We have a strategic plan. We have a vision. We've got a fairly cohesive board at this point, and I would like to see us move forward and be on the forefront, be the like I said, proactive about mixed usage, about looking at development, about doing something that's positive for the community, to have a larger vision, as it were, for our school district, that these aren't just school buildings, these are community buildings. And I think we've all talked about retaining the generational wealth, retaining the wealth for our communities, for the schools, but also making the property, and perhaps, if still possible, if the buildings haven't deteriorated too much, positive assets to our communities for different things. We've got some wonderful projects that aren't school projects per se, but like we do have mixed usage, and I've seen other communities. I just was in Durand, for example, and there's these lovely school facades. You don't even have to have the interior. You can just use the artifice on the outside. And Coolidge Place Apartments is a good example. I don't want to call anybody out by name or any organization out by name, but there are things that have happened in our community that I think that we should go after, as opposed to waiting for people to come to us with lowball bids. And so I just kind of wanted to put that out there, and maybe so that we could get an agenda going as soon as, the next meeting for the first of the year, so that we can be more active about that. If that kind of summarizes it, okay, thank you. That's just all I wanted to say.
I'm sorry,
Thank you.
Trustee Rutherford?
Laura, you got me on that. I have no idea what I was saying now. Nothing. I just think that we need to step it up. Normally I'm always, let's wait, but it's not getting any better. And I just think we need to close schools, honestly, sooner than later, because, I'm looking at the certified teachers, and I just looked at something where we have like, I don't know, 41 guest teachers, and our students deserve certified teachers in front of them. And if we can right-side these districts so that our students can get the best possible education sooner than later, I think we'll be better for it. And with us moving to no cell phones and no hoodies, that's a major move. And I think we should just keep on moving. Let's keep moving the pinnacle forward, and let's reduce these schools so that we can get on the right side of our financial crisis. So I'm ready to do whatever needs to be done.
Okay, Vice President McNeil, and then Trustee King.
Wow, this is exciting, and I'm glad to hear Trustee Laura McIntyre with such a great vision working with you guys. And I really think that this should be one of our first agenda items come the first of the year. And this should be pretty much like a workshop or type, because it's going to take a lot of discussion, opening up to the public. But I am so glad to hear this, and this is where we should start the first of the year, is moving forward. And I thank you guys for the work you did in your finance committee, and to see my partner over here just charged up about this, I think this is great. You did a very good dialogue of explaining how this process would go. So I would like to, hopefully, whatever it takes to make this one our first agenda item for the first of the year. Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Okay, you were next. Yes, sir.
I make a motion to repurpose/close Eisenhower for the year 2025 through 2026.
We were gonna do this first of the year.
Okay, is there a second?
Oh, second. I second. Support.
Any discussion?
I would like to discuss. I think we had just, it's okay?
Yes, ma'am.
I think we had just said the first of the year, and we're making a motion before we really can have a good, to close something at the 99th hour. Why don't we have a clear conscience and be fair and wait till the first of the year? This is me requesting that. We just said that we'd do this as the first of the year and not make such quick, harsh suggestions. We know we're gonna close buildings, but I think it would be not to just jump up and do a surprise motion, and we hadn't had a deep discussion. Thank you.
So, I'm sorry, Trustee McIntyre?
So, I'm, again, it's one of these meetings where I'm just terribly confused. Like, wow, that just came out of nowhere, just based on the previous discussion that we were having. And we voted, I thought, about closing Eisenhower, and
We voted against it.
we did.
Another cut of Pierce.
We
Right.
voted against Eisenhower.
Right, but we said no.
Right.
Not to close it.
Yeah,
So doesn't
that's
it
a
have to
motion
be,
reconsider.
doesn't it have to be I'm.
Yeah.
Point of information, so I think the way the motion is worded, so I forget, I have to check the minutes, but
There's a motion to.
it may have been for a different academic school year. But I have to go back and check, and that would be two separate motions.
Gotcha, okay, I just, that's what I was unclear about. So, yeah, I guess I'm just confused, and,
Mr. President?
I've got the
you were
floor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, she's not done, but you were next.
Okay.
And I agree with Dr. McNeil. I think that this is not the time or the place to do that. I'm just kind of dismayed. I feel like it's sort of, political, and there's an agenda behind it, and I'm not quite sure what it is. So putting that on it's not even on the agenda, it just popped up out of nowhere. One of the rules of MSBA is no surprises. I mean, this is just frankly, just disappointing.
Madam Chair?
I was next.
Sorry.
Are there any more discussion?
Yeah, I was next. So, first point, one board member said they want to do this at the first of the year. Not we, one board member said that. Second point, we had this discussion in Finance Subcommittee, and I said, I'm gonna bring that back up at the meeting so we can finish the plan. We gonna wait till the first of the year to do what could be done tonight. Get it done, get it over with, make sure we're communicating to families, keep belaboring what's the inevitable, in my opinion, and then to suggest that there's a nefarious thing behind this. The only thing I'm looking at is that $14 million deficit. That $14 million structural deficit that we see it. We say we need to address it. But when the time comes to address it, oh, well, let's wait. This district been waiting for years, decades. My thought process with this, you complete the phased approach tonight. If you complete it, next year, that's when we use for communication, for repurposing, all there. But to keep everybody in question and limbo, when we know this is the inevitable to happen, it has to happen, there's no point to keep pushing this to the side. I specifically said, in Finance Subcommittee, I will bring this back up so we can complete this. It didn't just pop up out of nowhere. There's no agenda going on. The only agenda is to attack that $14 million deficit that we all know that is there. If Eisenhower not it, I welcome the discussion. Let's talk about another alternative. But we need to, it's two. Let's talk about it. I don't agree with belaboring the inevitable.
Mr. President? Yeah.
What, Vice President?
let him go.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
so-
Treasurer Luna.
I'm the first person to suggest that we move with expedience because we have the data to do this. And we did talk about it in the Finance Subcommittee. Really good discussion. Honestly, I wish we had made the decision 2 months ago in October when it was an action item on the agenda. But today it's an informational item. And I think it would be, and by the way, we should have made this decision back in October. I made several motions to close the school and others. But in this circumstance, I wonder if my colleagues would consider having a special meeting specifically committed to school repurposing and closure early in the year, where it's an action item. If that we could post in advance, so that way families know we're not just talking about our ideas, but ideally there'd be a decision made. Because I know, again, we've talked about this for months, and I'm all for it, but I think this, the delivery of it, I think we could maybe do that in less than a month or less than 30 days, but my issue is this is going to be a surprise at this specific meeting, and we should look at doing it maybe at the first of the year. And also my fear is if you vote on it tonight and then it gets voted down, then it complicates the actual decision in the future where we have to do a whole motion to reconsider, and I think it could jeopardize the long-term goal of Right Sign District over these next 3 years. So that's where I'm at. I would just be curious as to what folks' thoughts are on that.
Vice President McNeil.
It is from my understanding when we first brought these school closing, that you had Eisenhower and you had the administration building, and I believe we voted that down. Is it my understanding to bring that back, we might have to do a motion to reconsider. That's why I was saying that we should wait till the first of the year, is that I would like to see us to go back and look at what it is that we actually doing and take our time and do it in the right way. This is kind of out of the blue, kind of surprised that we had not had the conversation as it relates to Eisenhower. And so I'm just asking my colleagues, there's no big rush. You don't waited this long. A month, a few is not going to, few weeks is not going to change anything. So that is what I'm requesting, so we all can have a fair opportunity and not these last-minute motion and pushing us to make these decisions. I respect this from my colleagues. Thank you.
Trustee King.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I don't understand out of the blue. This has been a lingering topic since we made the decision for the two. I didn't want to leave that table when we was there in October without fulfilling it, but all the board, well, let's wait more time, We gonna start out the first of the year with announcing the closure? We can complete that tonight, communicate to families. That can be our goal for next year. Communicating to parents, how do we get forms set up for all the things ready? But no, you hear, oh, let's wait. What do we, it is simple, we got the data, we have that, and I'm not understanding, I wouldn't call it out of the blue. This has been on the agenda, I requested it on the agenda, in Finance Up Subcommittee, we talked about it, and I specifically said, we're gonna bring this up. Specifically said that. And if the board wanna wait to January, sure, but it's another month. It's another month that we're not communicating to parents, but another delay and inevitable. I don't understand the rationale in that, and I would not call it a pop-up or a surprise, because this has been talked about steadily, so I'm done, Mr. President.
Trustee Rutherford.
22 on our agendas, information says 22.3, completion of phase approach. Is that what we're talking about?
Yes.
So it's on the agenda. And I think my colleague said a motion to reconsider. What is a motion to reconsider? Dr. McNeil, you said we would have to do a motion to reconsider.
If you, and I'm questioning this now, I believe we voted this down. If something is voted down by the board as a whole, to bring it back, you would need a motion to reconsider. You have your Robert rules in front of you or somewhere, and it'll tell you, you know, why I suggested that if we had voted down closing Eisenhower and the administration, if this was a vote, by roll call vote, and we are voting not to, a motion to reconsider, as you were stating yesterday in the meeting, a motion to reconsider, that's what a motion to reconsider is. That something has passed and you're trying to bring it back, that would have to come up with at least 5 votes. So that's why I said we should wait till the first of the year to make sure that, was that a motion that we said about Eisenhower, what that was, but my understanding was a motion made that we would not close Eisenhower and administration building. And if you got your Robert rules, we can read those.
My reason for asking is because the legal opinion wasn't used when it came to Robert rules.
Legal opinions are
And
not used in
you didn't let
Robert
me
rules.
finish. You didn't let me finish. I just want to make sure that we're utilizing motions to reconsider the correct way. We can't pick and choose as a board when we're going to set aside Robert's Rules of
Point of
Order.
information. Are you aware that it's in the Robert Rules of Order? How do you use a motion to reconsider? You can't make stuff up as you go. That's all I ask you to do. Get the book out and read it.
That's not a point of information, but
Well, it is for you, it is.
I just,
Come on, let's.
my statement is, when you use the motion to reconsideration, you used a legal opinion, and there was no motion of reconsideration given to the board. I just want to know, are we going to implement a different policy? Well, can you help me? Because I'm asking a question. I need clarification.
So,
Can I probably help? Trustee
What she said, that's not, Trustee McIntyre.
so,
Help me. I'm asking for help. I'm not understanding.
so can we, just wait a minute, can we keep some order? So if you want to talk, can we go through the chair?
I just need an explanation.
Right, but
Whoever can answer it for me.
Well, did you want to ask her?
Yeah,
answer?
point of information, through you,
Yes, sir.
Chair, to Trustee Rutherford. So, a motion to reconsider is a parliamentary tool that can be used when a previous motion has failed. The motion can be brought back, but but must be approved by 2/3 of the body. Right? There's also a motion to rescind. So these are different tools under Robert's rules to bring back a motion that has failed. To reconsider it or to rescind. Now, a motion to reconsider is what you bring back during the same meeting. A motion to rescind is bringing back a previously failed motion in a separate meeting. And let me step back real quick. A motion to reconsider occurs during the same meeting and requires a simple majority. A motion to rescind occurs at a later meeting that would require 2/3. So just really quickly, summarize. Motion to reconsider occurs during the same meeting, requires a simple majority. A motion to rescind occurs at a separate meeting at a later date and would require 2/3 majority or 5 out of 7 members of the body.
And that's what this board is using, correct?
We've used it in the past on different votes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so Treasurer Luna, you're next.
Yeah, so I'm just going to go back to my original comments since I'll be done with the comments on it. I think, so here's my thought process, right? I stated I wanted to get this done back in October, and we didn't. Here we are now, a week and a half before break. Now, at this exact moment, I'm thinking to myself, if we approved it now, or at sometime in early or mid-January, the time to really begin the work is not going to really occur because, number one, we have holiday break. I can't imagine having a community forum the week of Christmas or the week of New Year's to get this done. And more importantly, I'm not going to tell the man's schedule, but the folks are taking PTO as well during a similar time period, so staff, particularly administrative staff and the teachers, aren't going to be present to begin the transition. So in this instance, I could see how it would make sense to do this work in January, but just to reiterate, it should have occurred 2 months ago, in my opinion, but we didn't do it, so I'm for getting this done in January. So I'll be voting against the current motion on the floor. If it could be amended or withdrawn, then I could support doing this at a later date in January. But again, we should have done this work, but this particular motion, I just don't think it's needed tonight.
Trustee King.
This is me publicly saying, in January, I asked for this to be on the agenda. So we all know what to expect. At our regular, I'm asking out for our regular meeting. So this can be on the agenda so folks don't say it's a pop-up or it's, you know, something spectacular. I don't know how folks want to phrase this, but I'm asking for this to be on January. I guess everyone want to do it in January, sure. But to say, I would withdraw my motion if it's okay with that objection, if it's okay with you. I'm just saying in January, I'm asking for this to be on a regular meeting. I don't want to delay nothing again, please.
I'd like to say
I'm just saying, you know, folks
Looking
wanna
at
speak.
Yeah, but Superintendent.
You got to say with or without objection, Mr. Chair.
I agree we can do it in January, but it's after we select our officer. It's inappropriate to try to plan anything. You got to select your officers and get that done first. And then on the 17th, I think that's what the goal is. And then your next meeting, or after you select your, if we're gonna do subcommittees, after you select those committee groups, then we can do it. The first thing on the agenda is the electing of officer.
So, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
But it's board pleasure.
I'm sorry, Vice President, Trustee King, I'm sorry.
It was asked to be done in January. I was like, okay, I'm okay with it. I'm not okay, but I yield to what the board please, right?
Mhm.
Now we just got told, well, there's other things going on in January. To me, in my mind, okay, what are we doing in February? Is it gonna be March, April? We're gonna keep kicking this can down the road. I asked publicly that I'm gonna request it, who's ever the president then, I'm gonna request it in writing, that this be on the agenda at our regular meeting in January. Thank you.
Okay,
How
well,
long is this in January? That's
Point of order.
yes, sir.
I may have heard this correctly, but I want to make sure. You made a motion to withdraw without
No.
objection.
Mhm.
Did you announce that?
No, I didn't.
she went into discussion first.
So, there, yeah, so.
So, Mr. Chair, I withdraw my motion.
So, yeah, I was gonna say, could you repeat it?
You, yeah.
So trustee King has withdrawn his motion with no objection. Any objection before? Okay, no objection. Thank you, trustee King. January, right?
January.
Okay. Everybody cool?
I just want some clarity.
Superintendent?
We're saying January. So your organizational meeting is just that, based on your bylaws. The January regular board meeting will be the 17th. I'm just going to put out a suggestion that if this is going to be on the table for a vote, then you might want to have a special meeting. I'm just putting a suggestion so that you can discuss, so that your regular board meeting that's going to have your state of the district and other things going on is not compromised with something that may take longer to discuss. So there's a couple of other things that I'm going to email you that need to be talked about. So I'm thinking that if you do a special board meeting, maybe the 8th, I think that's the Monday before. The 8th, I'm just trying to get, oh, you won't be here? I get back on the 8th. Okay, so I'm just
Just give them that
saying
date.
before the 17th,
Okay.
if the board is able to have a robust conversation, then it might make that easier to handle
I like that idea.
when it comes on the
Yeah.
agenda.
I appreciate that.
President,
Treasurer
through you to the administration, I think we can do this in a simple way. We can do a final committee of the whole meeting where we talk specifically
Thank
about
you.
school closure.
There you go.
And then we could put out a doodle poll before the holiday break, see what dates work. But I want to make sure that we're all here, and if possible, the superintendent as well. But it's a special meeting, and we can get this done and get it going, and it's just for this specific issue. That way folks know that we're doing this. And to your point, I don't want to distract from the state of the district or the organizational meeting, but we can do this. We can do all three, just in different arenas, because they call for different types of attention.
So are you saying, excuse me, can I ask a question?
So I'm saying I think we can have a finance committee of the whole specifically for school closure and repurposing.
Somewhere around like when she's back January the 10th or whatever those dates are, before the 17th?
So I requested via email again, because I did it about a month ago, to get it going.
Okay, all right, cool. All right. You withdrew? No more discussion? No more objection? Moving on. Okay, Mr. Jones?
I seek a motion and a second from the board to approve Resolution 1.7, personnel recommendations. I'm going to ask our Executive Director of HR to come.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I make a motion to batch 1.7 and 1.8.
Support.
Support.
Okay, now we're talking. Okay, is there any discussion on the badge?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
You know, Mr. President, as we begin to update our Neola policy, we unofficially approved the consent agenda in several different motions. I think if we put these matters before the pertinent committees, and then for the full board meeting, we have staff here to answer our questions for the public's use and our use, then as we move forward, we should really put a lot of these items in a consent agenda so we can save time,
Yes.
and we should trust our subcommittee structure. I'm just saying for future reference for everyone.
Understood. Okay. Anyone else? Mr. Jones? I'm sorry. Trustee McIntyre?
So the only thing I just, have we talked about action item 1.8? And I'm not interested in batching them because I'd actually like to pull that out and discuss it. And I don't want there to be any issue with 1.7, so I'm not in favor of batching these.
If we batch, you can always pull one out.
Well, I think, you know what, Mr. President,
There's
I'd like to
only-
withdraw the motion without objection then, to batch.
I made the motion.
He
Oh, you
made
did?
the motion.
I'm sorry. It's been late, I'm sorry.
He's gonna batch it for you. I'm batching it.
Do you mind asking the executive director your questions here or no?
We're discussing, this is the action item to batch.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't prohibit you to ask, through you to Mr. Chair, it doesn't prohibit you to ask your question now. Most of this here
Yeah,
was sent in
that's a
the
good
email
point.
from Mr. Jones. So, I mean, you can ask, I mean,
Okay,
she's right, yeah.
all right, I can, yeah, I can. So, for 1.8,
Page 46.
thank you. We're talking about, I understand that we're talking about job responsibilities and positions that are currently not filled and the jobs that are being done. This goes way, way back, though, to the previous board and to the previous HR representative. We had been working hard and it had gotten completely derailed about looking at the structure of the positions. There were some conflicts. There was a couple of different HR proposals about how job duties and titles were arranged, like what umbrellas they were under, reconsolidating, and we were actually working on a plan to consolidate job duties and responsibilities, to save money, and I understand the arguments being made that this will save money because we're not gonna hire a position, but hear me out, because what we were talking about before was eliminating positions that were not being filled so that we could help balance the budget. And I'm concerned because we're at a $15 million deficit in the next 2 years, that I understand that these are quote-unquote additional responsibilities. However, we were asking questions about the bloated positions or the potentially bloated positions, and if it could not be more streamlined. Like, there's work that needs to be done, but we have less than 3,000 students. And so the fact that we've got an administrative structure that is woefully top-heavy compared to other districts, that I would need to see more information about adding $10,000 for work that just needs to be done. We were talking about distributing the job duties without additional expense, and now this is an additional expense. This is what, gonna come from the general fund?
Can you hear me? Okay. So the work that you're talking about doing, that's the purpose of this. We're restructuring right now. It won't cost us additional because we have a position, the pupil accounting and student records coordinator, that has been vacant for 2 years. So what we're gonna do
Right,
is.
but do you understand what I was saying about how we were going to?
Well, no, I
Yeah,
understand the
okay.
work that you're talking about. So what this
It is gonna
right.
cost us more.
So this is working towards that work. So the reason why we're basically reassigning job duties is because this position has been vacant for 2 years. And so the goal is to get rid of this position and shift those responsibilities to somebody else. So it's not, in a sense, gonna cost additional. Actually, we're gonna be saving because we're eliminating a whole position, and then those job duties or responsibilities are gonna be pushed off onto other people. So what I provided you with is the proposal, which is the recommendation to shift those responsibilities to 2 current positions that we have. And then what I also provided you with, if you notice in yellow, this is the recommendation for all of the additional job duties that this person is going to be picking up. So what we would be doing is there's going to be a lead head enrollment specialist. And then the data analyst, she's going to be picking up additional duties in green. So right now, we're restructuring. The reason why it's going to be like an extra duty stipend is because we're doing the work that you actually spoke about. So in my HR subcommittee meeting that I had, I actually presented to Mr. Teray King and Mrs. Relaford, and it was really kind of restructuring how things need to look like for the positions, because I do agree with you. There is, the way that it looks, there are some things that we can kind of conform and make concise, and I'm familiar with that because of the district that I came from. So I was actually able to map out what that work should look like, and it'll speak to what you're talking about. And so what we're doing right now, that's actually moving towards that work that you're speaking to.
So, yeah, just a follow-up question. Are these union, are these?
No, they're the professional technical group, so it's not
So they're
union.
not part of this, we wouldn't have to deal with steps?
No,
Okay,
no, this is different.
all right. I'm gonna keep thinking about it, and you can come back to me. Thanks.
Trustee King? Nothing? Okay, Treasurer Luna?
Yes. When I read this resolution a few days ago, and we got the board book update with our agenda, this makes total sense to me, so I'll be voting for it tonight. And offline, I've heard about it from my colleague, you know, how this is really saving us money, and it's also setting us up for future better fiscal decisions. But more importantly, too, just on a retention and talent perspective, when it comes to the employees we do have, we have a lot of folks who are doing an amazing job, but as the original job description, in my opinion, was defined, they're doing stuff outside their jobs. I think what this does is formalize what they're doing, and it, number one, it saves money, but also it says, look, you're doing this now, and we're gonna compensate you as such to make sure that you're doing your job outside of the one line that says, I'm just making this up, I see a lot in job descriptions that says, as other duties assigned. This is laying it out specifically so they can be held accountable, but also we're gonna keep folks who've been doing this work for years anyway. So I think it's a good, sound decision, and I think we should move on it. And I think this is showing our staff that, look, we're gonna put this down in writing, we're gonna compensate you for it, and we're gonna expect you to do it to the best of your ability.
Okay, thanks, Treasurer Luna. Trustee Relaford?
Hi, Ms. Montgomery, how are you?
Doing good, how are you doing?
First of all, thank you. And Mr. Stewart, this is your department, isn't it? Is this? Ooh, that's needed. Thank you. Woo. First of all, I appreciate you utilizing someone that already has the knowledge, so there's no learning curve, so we won't have any gaps. But I can see us being able to be more efficient in individuals requesting transcripts and things of that nature. One of my questions is, and Mr. Stewart, maybe you could help me, is it a possibility that they can do enrollment at the buildings anytime soon? Or are you completely away from that? You know that was coming from me.
Honestly, I want to stay away from that, and just based on currently the issues that we have, making sure that we counting FTE, because you know attendance and student enrollment is vital with our funding, and so I want to make sure in centralized enrollment we can ensure that we get the FTE that we supposed to. If it's inside the building, you know, it's actually harder to manage. And then we've had it before, but that was before we outsourced our secretaries. And I'm just going to state that.
Okay.
And so that was before we outsourced our secretaries. And when they outsourced the secretary, the reason why we went to centralized enrollment was to ensure that a third party wasn't responsible for the funding that's coming into the district.
That's good, okay. All right, that's good. So will that, that's okay, I'm not gonna ask you that. This is good. I do like this. This is really good. And will these individuals, first of all, I got seasoned eyes. Can we not use green? Because I promise I can't read this.
We shouldn't use green anyway.
Okay. That's the whole problem. I was hoping you
That's
wouldn't go there.
Michigan State, so you know.
You know, I'm just saying, but, no, I like this because you're staying in-house, looks like you have a job description, and also the qualifications are there. I like that I see a date on when it was updated, so thank you very much with that. And, why only 10,000? Was that, you trying to save money, or, I mean, you don't have to answer that, I'm just being facetious, but.
Thank you for that.
No, I know better. I just try to act a little out of character. But, let's go, I just want to look at these 4 recommendations. Is this, or is this something totally different?
No, it's different.
Okay, all right. We there yet? Are we there yet? Oh, we on the batch. Oh, okay. Well, I'm coming. I'll wait. Go ahead. Oh, this is part of it? Okay, how did these recommendations come up? Was there a process of selection on these individuals, or they just somebody's friend? I want to get away from that.
Which 2 are you speaking
On page 45, the 4 recommendations for employment, Ms. F, Ms. J, Ms. M, Ms. S, and then the 2 changes of assignment. The district received 2 changes of assignment.
No, we went through the normal process with them. So
what
it was like an
happened?
interview.
What happened? It's the wrong person? Okay, so you followed the process?
Yeah.
Okay. No further questions?
Okay.
What is green is for? That was easy.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was looking at Vice President McNeil, yes.
Hey there, everybody. I want to thank you, Mr. Jones, when I called and questioned this particular 1.8, I believe that was it, recommendation for a pupil accounting student. I got the information, I read it. I think this is a good direction as we begin to consolidate. I don't want to waste a lot of your time. I don't even have to question your integrity about your process, or did you do any, because I know how the process works, and it wouldn't be in this package if you guys have not done the process. And I trust your judgment, and we got this document, and I can see that process working. And like she says, in-house, and I think we're doing a good job. It's not the best job, but we're working with the best we have, and I support this, and I ask my colleagues to support with me. Thank you.
Okay, Trustee King.
I'll be remiss if I didn't give accolades to our executive director, Ms. Montgomery. She's been doing awesome work. We had a great subcommittee meeting. The direction that she wants to take HR and just the district as a whole, as it pertains to customer service, is wonderful. I don't question. Well, I do question certain things, but if it's Ms. Montgomery, she's doing the good work. She got the path forward. Mine not on?
Here we go.
Okay, let me start. I publicly give accolades to our executive director, though. Honestly, the path that she has laid out for us with, you're doing a great job, not just a good one. You're doing a great job. I know there's a lot of, you explained a lot of work that's need to be done, and you're doing it. And I appreciate you for doing that work. And then, as we talk about top heavy, right? This cuts. And it keeps cutting, and you have a plan to keep cutting, right? So we appreciate you for doing that, okay? Mr. Stewart, thank you for, I know you've been without this person for a long time. What, 2 years? Yes. 2 years, and you've still been rolling, so thank you for your work in that enrollment department. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Anyone else? Anyone else? Got ready to vote? Just Treasurer Luna?
Yes, could you please restate the motion on the floor?
The motion is to batch resolutions 1.7 and 1.8, the personnel recommendations, and the approval of temporary salary increases for additional responsibilities. Treasurer Luna?
That's it?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So is there any more discussion? Okay. We'll conduct a roll call vote. I'm just going to repeat the motion just in case for everybody in the back. We are batching Resolution 1.7, the personnel recommendations, and 1.8, where'd it go? The approval for the temporary salary increases for additional responsibilities. All right, now we'll conduct a roll call vote. Treasurer Luna?
Yes.
Trustee King?
Yes.
Trustee Rutherford?
Yes.
Vice President McNeil?
Yes.
Trustee McIntyre?
Yes.
Secretary Perkins?
Yes.
Myself, President Clark, vote yes. 7-0. Yeah, we got to hurry up.
President.
Chair,
Okay. Who first? Who said it first?
I make a motion to approve the batched items. Support.
Okay, all right, is there, did you second, Treasurer Luna? Is there any discussion? Good, so. Dr. Brady.
You know what
I'm
it
sorry.
is?
I'm sorry.
It is
good.
for
We
me. I'm
appreciate
sorry,
that. I appreciate
President
that.
Clay.
Yeah,
All right,
go
what you
ahead.
got, Trustee?
I trust you, but I'm gonna verify, okay? All right, I just want to make sure you know that. I think we got that understanding at subcommittee, right? Okay, okay. Trust but verify.
You said that.
Okay, thank you. Go
You,
ahead.
John, Trustee Rutherford,
I'm good.
you all set? All right, any more discussion? All right, conduct a roll call vote. When I say your name, please say yes or no to approve this motion. We're gonna go this way. Secretary Perkins.
Yes.
All right. Trustee McIntyre.
Yes.
Okay, Vice President McNeil.
Yes.
Trustee Rutherford.
Yes.
Trustee King.
Yes.
Treasurer Luna.
Yes.
Myself, President Clark, vote yes. Motion passes 7-0. Okay, moving on.
Thank you.
Mr. Jones, thank you all both.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
In your packet board, on page 48 is the information for retirements, resignations, and others. Do any board members have any questions?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to recognize 42 years and 31 years of service to this district. That's a long time. 25 years, all the service of this district. I want to just say publicly thank you.
Is that it? Okay, I would like to say, just because,
Mr. Chair,
yes, sir.
sorry. I would be remiss without recognizing our teacher as at Southwestern that passed away, unfortunately passed away, Mr. Christopher Maneki.
Manatee.
I want to make sure I
That's the
say it
band
right now. Mr. Christopher Maneki. We appreciate your service. Make sure I publicly say that.
To his family.
And to his family.
Okay, I would like to say to my good buddy, Miss Darlene Calvert Davis, or Davis Calvert, we gonna miss you. I don't know if you watch it, I hope you are, but we gonna miss you. Yes. She retired. She retired, so I just wanted to say, while in front of everybody, and on the board, in front of everybody that's watching, we gonna miss you, and I'ma call. But you still got time to reconsider, though. We ain't voted.
Yes.
And to everyone else that's, put all this time into the district, we're gonna miss you. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your time. That's pretty much all I had to say.
So we were going to wait to the end, but because Mr. Maneke was brought up, we wanted to take a moment of silence for Mr. Maneke. The last performance was Here for You
Right.
Yes.
with the band.
Right.
That was a special moment. Not only was our state superintendent here, our ISD superintendent, and many others were in the audience, but more importantly, they did that for the Board of Education.
Right.
So I'd just like to take a moment of silence for Mr. Maneke, if you don't mind. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jones. So moving forward.
All right. I seek a motion and a second from the board to approve. We have just been given a number for this one as 11.32.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
I make a motion, I want to be clear on this. I make a motion that we batch the annual summer tax collection as well as action items 11.27 to 11.31 together in a batch.
Support.
Support.
Okay. Any discussion on the batch?
Mr. President?
Yes.
Treasurer Luna? And you had a question, Trustee Rutherford?
Yeah, so we can have discussion.
Okay.
Is it my turn? Or
No,
is it?
to-
Oh, okay. I think for me, I'm not a part of Finance Op, and I want to make sure that I don't violate any Open Meetings Act. So when it comes to replacement and just construction, I think it's just really a good practice to discuss it so the public can hear it. And, I mean, upgrading, which I can see some of this is some spend down money that's being used, so that means it's already been allocated, correct? It's, you know, and it's not hitting the general funds. So for me, I just like to have discussions, and let's talk about this so everybody can hear what the money is, where the money is going and what it's being used for. I just think transparency comes into place really well right here. Thank you for the time. Oh, y'all ready? Oh.
I'm sorry, I thought, Treasurer Lewis,
I
I'm
didn't know
sorry.
for me to ask him a
I just
question.
want to make a note, kind of going back to the consent agenda we discussed last December at our board retreat. The annual summer tax collection is required by statute, and things like this don't require discussion. But 11.27 through 11.31, you know, that makes sense to me. I did read this prior, and these all made sense, and a few we've talked about previously because of issues that some of these properties saw. You know, looking forward to hearing from you all about it,
Mr. Chair.
about why they're needed.
Trustee King?
Hey, Mr. Henderson and Ms. Cleese, how you doing? Mr. Henderson, could you explain to us about the electrical kitchen upgrade? I think it's Door Rider?
There's two of them.
Yeah.
There's new kitchen equipment coming in, new ovens, new steamers and stuff like that. But you have to have the electrical upgrades because they require different electrical plugs as well as their three-phase units.
That's what we talked about last time when Chartwell was here. They was gonna order some things. Right, did we ever talk about the convection ovens, that we don't have to vent anything out? Did we get that solved?
It's solved.
So the schools will have their own, so the schools should have their own kitchen department rolling, so we don't have to use Northwestern?
Well,
What's
they're
that look
still
like?
gonna have to use warmers and stuff like that. So it's still gonna be a centralized kitchen.
Oh.
So it's not gonna be cooking within the means. That would require additional equipment.
So in that electrical kitchen upgrade, would that include those outlets to do that? Because I remember that was a plan to have that inside the building.
These are the outlets that are required to run the new equipment that she's bringing in, meaning Chartwell's.
So when the new equipment comes, all right, but then the still plan was to make food inside the school, individual school building, so that has to be transported. That would have to be more electrical upgrades, or that should be fine?
So I know where you're coming from, but our buildings are not, we don't have the capabilities of making them full kitchens. So they're trying to upgrade them enough so that the food can be warmed. And they're not going to be able to cook full meals in these kitchens. But what we are running into is they are having to do all the heating and the cooking over at Northwestern. And then by the time they get into scholars for A, B, or C lunch, by C lunch, they're getting a little cold. So to prevent that, you're putting these measures in place, as stated by Ms. Tiffany, these measures in place to keep the food warm. And if there is a situation where you need to warm something up or give something different than the main food, they have the ability to do so. All of our buildings didn't have that ability or don't have that ability right now. So making them full kitchens, I don't know, we would like that, but I don't know that that's the possibility, and that's not what I remember.
Okay. Well, Trustee King, and then Trustee King, you're next.
I'm done.
And then, okay.
I seem to remember from Chartwell's presentation that Ms. Tiffany, sorry, what was her last name?
Houston, Ms. Houston.
Ms. Houston was saying that we don't need full kitchens because of the technology, and that these these ovens are state of the art. They actually like make the food crispier and more desirable to the students and stuff like that. So, I mean, I can understand how we would want a full kitchen, but the way that she explained it sounded really ideal to me, that you don't even need that. You've got different equipment, and she was sounded very knowledgeable and excited about using the spend down in a way that would be very advantageous to the district. Now, I'm not trying to like advocate for Chartwells, but that's how I remember the conversation, if I'm not mistaken.
Anybody else? Okay.
With them, I'm sorry. With them having to spend down, what would they spend down be after using that Chartwell? From what I just read, said that they still had, it would be reduced from their spend down.
I don't know the exact number that she has in her spend down. Did she mention it to you?
You sound muffled, I can't understand. Oh, you wasn't talking to me, that's why. Okay, go ahead.
The spend down is roughly a little bit over $1 million.
I didn't hear you, she was coughing, I'm sorry.
Oh, the spend down is roughly over $1 million.
Oh, a little over $1 million? Oh, we good, okay, well, I have no questions. I thought we was at the bottom of the barrel, I had to make sure we stretched it.
Okay.
Okay, we still, are we at the door, can I keep going, or I gotta stay where?
No, we're in the batch. We still.
Oh, I can
discussing the
discuss it
batch.
all, can't I? Okay. This, I see two different figures, 57,000, then I see 50,000. Page 60 and page 61. Are these the same? Because they both say Doyle Ryder.
They are both Doyle Ryder, and the true number is 57,000. The 50,000 was one piece of the condensate tank and pumps, and then the other portion was the piping to go with it. So you add those two together, and you got the 57,000 total.
I don't see the 7. Where's the 7,000? Is that someplace else?
It's for the mechanical piping that has to go with that, and
Is that included in here?
It was a separate number originally, and I had Pam put them together as one.
So it's not referenced in here, right? I don't see the 7,000. I see the 50,000, 946,000, but I don't see the 7. You said you added that later?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Ms. Cleaves, you okay with him adding that later, even though I don't see it?
Yeah, because he's requesting the total.
I
Of the
know, but I don't see
57.
where the 7,000 is. He said he added it later. If you okay with it, I'm okay with it.
Yep, I'm
You okay?
with it.
Okay, well, we okay then. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, no further discussion? Okay, so we are gonna do a roll call vote on the batch. Board members want to call your name, say yes or no to accept the batch. Treasurer Luna?
Yes.
Trustee King?
Yes. Okay.
Trustee Rutherford?
Yes.
Vice President McNeil?
Yes.
Trustee McIntyre?
Yes.
Sir.
Secretary Perkins?
Yes.
Myself, President Clark, vote yes. The motion passes 7-0.
President,
Yes, sir?
I make a motion we approve the batch items.
Okay, do we get a second? Support? Okay, either one, I'm sorry, we take them both. Thank you, Secretary Perkins. So we will now vote on the batched items.
Discussion.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm so ready to go home. So, any discussion, Treasurer Luna?
I'll take 10 seconds to say this.
Okay.
I've expressed issues that have been brought to my attention about our food service. In the future, I'd like to connect with you to do maybe is to pop up with you knowing, just so I can just see how it's done in different schools. So, that's it.
Okay, any more discussion?
Yep, one thing. I
Okay,
just will
Sue?
report out from those that came to the microphone to the board. They came to our JLM, which is Joint Labor Management Meeting. Yeah, I said that right. And expressed that there has been a total change as it pertains to the K-6, I want to say, lunch issue that was over at DTM. So the exact folks that came forward are the exact folks that came to that meeting and said they are happy with the changes.
I'm good, never mind then.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Okay.
I have a question.
Just let you know.
Can
Trustee
we
Rutherford?
can we eat some of their food? Can they feed us? I mean, if it's, I would like to eat what the kids eat so I can know, I I think if they're, if they're good enough for the kids, they're good enough for me. I want a hamburger and pizza.
You saying for the meetings?
Yeah,
The
that would be
workshops?
nice. Could they?
Oh, I thought you meant go over to the school and eat with the
They be cooking, that's Chartwell, make that food. Chartwell, make that food? Oh, well, I withdraw, it's good, yeah. Thank you.
Okay, any more discussion?
I didn't know that.
Okay. Trustee McIntyre, did you? Okay, all right. So, now we will conduct a roll call vote on the batched items, 11.27 through 11.31. So call your vote, board members say yes or no to approve the motion. Treasurer Luna?
Yes.
Trustee King?
Yes.
Trustee Rutherford?
Yes.
Vice President McNeil?
Yes.
How'd I hit my head? Trustee McIntyre? Secretary Perkins?
Yes.
Myself, President Clark, vote yes. Motion passes 7-0. Moving forward. Almost done, y'all. Okay, wait a minute. 11.27.
Thank you. Thank you.
Trustee
both.
King?
I want to batch, I make a motion to batch 25.10 to 25.12.
Okay, there's a motion to, okay, there's support. Is there any discussion? Treasurer Luna?
Was there anything that anyone from the subcommittee for academics wanted to mention about these items, or? Sorry, was there anything from the academic subcommittee they wanted to mention about these items or vote on the batch?
I don't remember anything that stand out. You want to add something? Oh,
Is it anything that stands out that you would like to speak on?
except the eighth grade curriculum. No, everything was straightforward. With the subcommittee, we had talked about this, and a lot of that, it's just good. It was very good discussions, and the tools are something that they trained everyone on them, correct? Yeah, and the green light is throughout the district, so I would say yes to it.
Okay, any more discussion?
Only thing I would like to say is to thank not only the team, but tonight we have our state and federal coordinator here that you all voted in. Ms. Deb Dixon is in the back. She was just here to, if there were any questions. So thank you, Deb, for being with us tonight, but that's it. That's all I have.
We got a birthday in the house?
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Don't be shy, come on.
We got to finish this business.
Okay, all right, don't be shy. Okay, let me see. I'm backing my stuff up. So is there any more discussion on the batch? Okay, so we will now vote to batch items 25.10 through 25.12. Board members, as I call your name, please say yes or no to accept the batched items, okay? So we're gonna start this way. Secretary Perkins?
Yes.
All right. Trustee McIntyre?
Yes.
Vice President McNeil?
Yes.
Trustee Rutherford?
Yes.
Trustee King?
Yes.
Treasurer Luna?
Yes.
Myself, President Clark, vote yes. Motion passes 7-0. We will now conduct a roll call vote on the bat to accept the batched items 25.10 through 25.12. So, Treasurer Luna? Oh, I'm sorry. Is there any discussion?
There wasn't a motion made.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Look at me. Look, everybody packing up. I'm ready to go home.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
I make a motion we approve the batched items.
Okay, is there support? Okay, is there any discussion? Okay, seeing no more discussion, we will vote on the batched items 25.10 through 25.12. Board members, as I call your name, please say yes to accept or no to not. So Treasurer Luna?
Yes.
Trustee King?
Yes.
Trustee Rutherford?
Yes.
Vice President McNeil?
Yes.
Trustee McIntyre?
Yes.
Secretary Perkins?
Yes.
Myself, President Clark, vote yes. The motion passes 7-0. Okay, we almost done, y'all.
Okay. Let me take it.
Yes, sir.
We would ask our officer to come forward, please. Hewley, if you would come forward at this time. Officer
Don't be
Hewley.
shy.
Come on, if you will. And as you're coming, I'm going to ask everyone to sing happy birthday with me on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Officer Hewley. Happy
Happy birthday to you.
And as we do at central office, it's your birthday, it's your birthday, it's your birthday, it's your birthday.
Thank you for all you do. I'll take it.
The meeting adjourned,
Oh,
President Clapp?
we still, do any board members have any comments or remarks before we adjourn?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I
Trustee
do
King.
like to say that this Friday, our mobile app and our new website will be going live. Thank you to Ms. Bridget Jones for doing the good, hard work. That's it for me.
Anybody else?
I just want to say, I'm flying out of here soon, so
Use your mic.
prayers are warranted.
I would like, is there anybody else before I say anything? I would like to say shout out to Trustee King for all his hard work on this app, and we about to, I mean, like, I'm sorry. Ms. Bridget, both of you, and Trustee, I'm sorry, Ms. Bridget, I didn't want to take you, but didn't take your credit, but both of you have worked so hard on this app, so I just want to give you your credit. So, let me give my announcement. The Board of Education will hold this annual organization meeting on Wednesday, January 10th at 6:30 p.m. here at Accelerated Learning Academy. And everyone enjoy your holidays, have a safe, happy, Merry Christmas, and Happy New Year. Thank you. Seeing no further business of the board, I declare this regular board meeting adjourned at 9:25. Y'all said 30 minutes.
Happy birthday.
Y'all said
Happy birthday, Officer
Happy
Hewley.
birthday to